Hello and welcome back to another Diplostrats commentary. It's been a while, but we are back. I'm Captain Meme, and I'm here once again with Ezio. Hi, Ezio.
Hello, hello.
And we are here to commentate the Nexus Season 6 Grand Final. As per usual with Nexus games, this game is capped at 1910. At the end of 1910, the power with the most supply centers will win. And it used the Paris method, the results of which are on the right-hand side of the screen in the power rankings. You might notice we have a little new art there as well, which I'm very happy with. Nice little country balls. But the way that this works is that the power at the very top, Austria was chosen last. The power beneath that, Turkey, was chosen second to last, and so on and so forth, down to the bottom. England was chosen first. So at the end of the game, if there is a tie between two powers, the one who was chosen last will win. So Austria will win a tiebreak against anyone below them, Turkey will win a tiebreak against anyone except Austria, and so on and so forth. So, Ezio, what do you say we just jump right into this and have a look at the opening moves?
Absolutely.
Where do you want to focus on first?
Well, as we normally do in these opening news, you try to find stuff that's abnormal. And we try to find oddities in the opening, which are going to be hard to find here, because these openings are just very much by the book. Nothing really even a little bit odd about this. I think the closest thing would be the support of Paris into Burgundy by Marseille, but that's like...
Yep.
I don't know what percentage of game that's played, but that's a high percentage.
I think actually that is the most common opening for France at this point, which is kind of impressive.
Full press games even, that's changed.
Yeah.
That meta has changed recently then. I'm used to it being not the most common.
It's certainly, like, France has a lot of different potential openings, right? So it doesn't need to be a massive percentage of them to be the most popular, but I think this is the most popular at this point. It's gained a lot of popularity recently as well, just because it keeps Burgundy completely safe from the German, and it makes sure that you're, like, forcing your will on Belgium. You get to decide what's going on there no matter what. Well,
Yeah,
unless...
seems reasonable.
Unless Germany and England decide to team up on you.
But I'm pretty sure this is the most popular opening for England, Germany, Russia. Italy is maybe not the most popular, but because of the Venice hold, but like essentially this is the most popular opening for Italy no matter what, because Italy doing whatever with Venice usually doesn't matter very much. And recently, maybe even Venice hold is the most popular. Just none of these openings are particularly weird. So my feeling is honestly to just look at 1902. The thing to note is the Smyrna hold, right?
Yep.
Hey, look, the fleet in Ankara is going to make it out into Constantinople quickly. Cool.
Yep. I mean, Smyrna hold is a slightly unusual one. Obviously, the more common opening that we see is Smyrna to Constantinople. But Smyrna hold says, I'm not going to get a second supply center in the Balkans in 1901, which is a fair assessment as Turkey. It's really difficult to get anything beyond Bulgaria in 1901. So you hold back and you say, this will give me a little extra flexibility in the fall turn. You could go up to Armenia with that. You probably won't. What you probably do is just send the fleet out to Constantinople. But gives options. Right.
I think it's better. It seems better to me than moving to Constantinople in most situations. So,
yep.
Yeah, none of these surprise me. I want to see what happens in 02 so we can get a better sense of what's going on.
Alright, well, let's go ahead and move to the fall then. Very quick spring 1901, and in the fall, is there much there is a lot non-standard in the West, or at least I say a lot non-standard. The main thing is just no one got any of the lowlands. Nothing in Holland, nothing in Belgium here. That's a fun way to start.
Yeah, very exciting. Sucks to be Germany.
Yeah, I mean, Germany is the really big loser out of this, right? Because Holland is generally their natural centre. England just decided, I will do this just to annoy Germany, basically, because there was no way England was ever getting that centre. It was just to prevent them getting in.
Yep.
And England even still got their build, France still got 2 builds, so Germany got 1, but given that they got bounced out of both Belgium and Holland, you have to expect that there's going to be an EF here, an England-France alliance, right?
Yep. In this particular situation, I do like Denmark letting Bothnia into Sweden.
Yes.
Because Warsaw is still bounced, so there's no risk of Russia building an army in Warsaw that wouldn't otherwise be there. There's an army there no matter what. So it's very likely that Russia will then build something in St. Petersburg, either an army or a fleet north coast, which might alleviate some pressure.
Yeah. And as Russia here, do you go for England? I think that's probably a good idea, right? Because England has to choose what they're doing with North Sea, and if you've got Germany on side, they can just tap North Sea and you're guaranteed Norway, right?
I would build Army Moscow, basically always in this situation.
Really? Nothing
Yeah.
in St. Pete's?
The Army in Moscow, because it can move to St. Pete, but I think it's pretty likely that I will go to St. Pete. However, I want to see what France is interested in doing. Because if France is like, yo, I love England, England is my baby, I'm never going to do anything to England ever, then it's like, alright, fine, we have to do something about this, unless France is willing. Basically, if I get the impression that EF is going to be an unbreakable alliance, then I have to work with Germany now and keep EF in their tracks early. If I get the impression that France is a shifty-looking type and I think is likely to stab England, then I'm happy to work with them early and then watch England get stabbed.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but you do... If you build in Moscow, even if you move up to St. Petersburg in the spring, right? So you're ready in the fall, you do lose that opportunity because England could build Fleet Edinburgh and then put it in Norwegian. You can't take Norway anymore.
Yep, that is a risk. Whereas if I put the fleet in St. Pete, then I can just take Norway for certain. The problem is, like, even if that works, right, then Norway retreats to Barents Sea, and then Eddie goes to Norwegian Sea. And that seems like it's sad for me, right? You don't really hold on to Norway because you have these guesses to go with Norway and St. Pete and stuff, right? Like Barents cuts, and so it's not a guaranteed capture, even if you get Germany to attack North Sea, which I think you're probably able to get from this point, right? Germany lets you into Sweden for a reason. But the upside of building in Moscow is that there's a chance that you don't get England to go into the Norwegian Sea because he doesn't feel threatened up north, and you convince him that he should go after Helgoland Bight or something in the spring, and then you say, hey, look, you go into Skagerrak, I'll go into Baltic Sea, or whatever, right? You say, we're going to work together, we're going to crush Germany, he's going to be dead, I'll go into Silesia and Warsaw, and then Germany's gone by '02. You can make that claim still to England, and I think that is worth a lot if you can sell it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense. And what you say with Barents and Norwegian as well, it's especially true given that Germany can't build a fleet in Kiel here. So England doesn't even have to worry about North Sea, which means in the fall they can just convoy into Norway with double support, and you cannot keep that if you've taken it in the spring. So, yeah, makes perfect sense. So we
I just like building more armies. Like I've lost a lot of games as Russia when you build 2 fleets. Wait a second. We're really stupid here. We're really stupid. Russia gets 2 builds.
Oh, Russia does get 2 builds.
7 Warsaw are both blocked. See,
Did we just talk about that for like 5 minutes?
Stuff. Am I going to wave a build in St. Pete, North Coast? God, no. No, I will not. I will not do that.
Yeah, especially in this position, like... This is just... You could put an army in St. Petersburg instead of
Yes, I will still do that. I will definitely do that.
It's definitely less committal, but yes, we just talked for 5 minutes about something that wasn't actually happening. That's the Diplostrats experience. But yeah, so given that you have... If you put an army in St. Petersburg here, do you just commit fully and like go into Finland and then St. Pete? I guess you wouldn't. Well, no, you just force Norway, right? That's the obvious
That's
one.
a viable move. It's a lot harder to pitch the whole "Hey England, let's just be friends" when you've built an army in St. Pete.
Yeah.
Um, Now it's possible if you look at the board, right, and you just like you. I mean, so okay, first of all, this is a lot easier in games where you cannot communicate pre-builds, right? So a rulebook press essentially. Because if you can play in games where there's communication during the build phase, England is going to tell you, if you want to work with me, wave your build St. Pete.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, if you want to work with England, it's pretty reasonable that you would waive your build in St. Pete. It's actually not the most unrealistic pitch, and so you kind of have to ignore it. But in a rulebook press game, you just build your two things and say, "Oh, I didn't even consider waiving. I'm so sorry about that."
Yep. Of
Would
course,
if you'd asked me, absolutely.
the Nexus Tournament does not use rulebook press, so they did have the opportunity to talk during builds. I guess we'll see whether that impacts this at all. But we
I
haven't
expect
talked
there's going to
about
be a war.
we haven't talked about the South at all yet. Mainly because it's a lot
Because
more
the South
standard,
was
I think.
boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, the South is just brr, 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 brr,
Yeah, so
right.
you've got
No one did a move that was unusual.
yeah, I mean, you've got the Galicia bounce is standard, right? You've got also the support down into Romania, which is an interesting one. It says Russia, well, no, it says they demilitarized Black Sea and Russia trusted Turkey to stick with that, right? It looks a bit like an untrustworthy move, or a move that's not trusting of Turkey, because the only reason you'd need this support is if one of Turkey or Austria is bouncing you in Romania, and Austria is basically never doing that. Austria is usually supporting someone else to Romania or supporting themselves to Greece. But also, the Russian had nothing else to do with Sevastopol, so they might as well put that in, no matter whether they trust Turkey or not. And of course, Turkey held and moved to Constantinople, so it looks very much like a juggernaut right here, right? They've even set up to get the fleet build in Smyrna.
Yep.
So,
But yeah, the West is the interesting part. I think France's builds are going to be really exciting. Like, it's just very, very exciting. Do you expect to see Fleet Brest? Do you expect to see Fleet Marseille, perhaps? Less super
man.
anti-English?
So obviously there's going to be at least one fleet, right? If this France puts down two armies, I'd be quite disappointed. Even though they're going up against Germany, or they look like they're going up against Germany from the Belgian bounce. We don't actually know yet. Whether that's in Brest or Marseille, it's a very good question. Obviously, Brest will annoy the English player quite a lot. Marseille will annoy the Italian player quite a lot, and you really don't want to annoy either. I wonder if this is a time where you wave, or is that just too much of a show of weakness?
Yeah, so for me, I don't feel like there's actually a particular difference between Fleet Marseille and Fleet Brest for these O2 builds, because Brest is going to Mid-Atlantic Ocean basically always. Marseille is going to Spain basically always. And Mid-Atlantic Ocean and Spain are both so similar because it's fleet in Portugal. So if you build in Marseille, you send Marseille to Spain and Portugal to Mid-Atlantic. If you build in Brest, you usually go Brest to Mid-Atlantic, Portugal to Spain South Coast.
Yep.
There is the world where Brest goes to English Channel, Portugal goes to Mid-Atlantic Ocean, but I just don't see France's ever show their hand so strongly in O2 unless they're going for a sea line or something, in which case their fleet's in the English Channel already and stuff. So,
yeah.
for me, the difference between those two builds is very minor to me.
And of course, bouncing Germany out of Belgium is not something you usually do if you're going for a sea lion. So, yeah, I think. I mean, as England, I'd still be nervous if I see the Fleet Brest build, even though I know that it's probably going to Mid-Atlantic Ocean. I'd always push for France to, build two armies, really, but if they had some sense, I'd push for them to build to one fleet in Brest, not in Brest, in Marseille if they had to build a fleet.
Yeah, I mean, the crux of my English-France alliances are always these huge arguments over Mid-Atlantic Ocean. Because if I'm England, I'm saying you need to keep your fleets out of Mid-Atlantic Ocean. It's too close to North Atlantic Ocean. That scares me. And my arguments as France are always, no. Mid-Atlantic Ocean is purely a defensive square. It borders all of my centers and none of yours. It's clearly mine. I'm going to leave a fleet there for the entire game. And then just sit there staring at each other. And then eventually either he leaves Mid-Atlantic Ocean and then England moves in, or he stays and then he moves to North Atlantic Ocean and then they stab.
Yep.
Like, that's how I see EF alliance is going.
I mean, that's absolutely fair. The how I usually see it go is France leaves Mid-Atlantic Ocean, then builds some that gets a phase where they have to build two fleets. They go, oh no, I have to build two fleets this phase. How upsetting. I guess I'll have to put one in Brest. And then they go to Mid-Atlantic Ocean, and then they go to North Atlantic Ocean, and then there's the step.
If that's your line to stab England, you should waive this bill. Because then you get a build next year, and then you're like, alright, great, Germany's dead. I need to get fleets to go after Italy. I think if that's your plan, you should waive here.
Yeah, I guess.
If your plan is to just be like, I'm in Mid-Atlantic Ocean because it's good. You know.
Yep.
Whatever. See.
Well, yeah, let's see. I think we've talked enough about this phase. Let's go ahead to the winter.
Wow.
Double army. Oh boy.
And a fleet build from Germany.
Whoa. Okay. So wow. Yeah, so this is a very pro-English France. I guess what they're trying to do is make See, I hate this from France. I always hate seeing this many armies just because it gives up so much control. You have to rely on getting through this choke point, essentially. Is it really a choke point? It's more of a choke point than it looks if you don't have any fleets. You're relying on English support there. And if you don't get Belgium, you're never building a fleet again.
And if Italy doesn't want you to get into Piedmont, you're never getting your armies out there anyways.
Yeah.
So you're just stuck with Picardy, Burgundy, Marseille, Gascony, and you're like, well, I guess it's hard to kill me. I mean, no, it's not difficult. It's just slow to kill me. Because anyone with two fleets is going to beat you. Yeah, no, I hate this. I absolutely hate this build from France. But whatever. France is going to do France things.
I think it's
nobody
better.
Else going to do like.
It's better considering that they managed to convince Germany to go for the fleet build, right? Because Germany can't block off this entire line with just two armies. That's not going to happen.
That's true.
I don't know why Germany.
That build was terrible.
Yeah, Germany building a fleet feels like a blunder.
What was Germany doing? Germany should clearly build an army here in Munich, and then he's in great shape. But
I mean, that's it. As Germany here, I probably just go to England. Hey, you know, I'm gonna support you down to Belgium, your army down to Belgium. We can form this wall if I move Kiel down to Munich, and I can use my fleet to help you in Scandinavia. I don't know that
you can support me into Burgundy, and then we can crush.
Yeah, I don't know that it's the best offer for England right now, though, because England has this France who's just crippled themselves in favour of, well, I mean, France is still an incredibly defensible country, right? Those four armies are going to be hard to break.
Yeah, and it means that France can never attack England in a million years.
Yeah, until they get the builds, anyway.
France also can't defend against England, right? If England... If Germany had built an army here, England would have had free reign to just decide who England wanted to kill this game. And whoever England decided would have died.
Yep. I think...
And I would never choose to give another power that much control. I would be like, hey look, we both have two fleets. You can't kill me. We can kill Germany. Let's go.
Yep.
But, oh well. Missed opportunity, sucks to be France. We'll see how it goes for him. Germany, good luck staying alive, man. Good luck. This is a little crazier than I would ever go, but maybe he's gonna get Sweden.
Yeah, I think, like, in a lot of pro commentaries on Germany, especially like stuff like Legendary Tactics video with Doug Moore, the world champion, about Germany, he says always, always, always build a fleet in 1901, at the end of 1901. because if you just promise England, okay, I'll build armies for the rest of the game, then you're giving England all the power in the game, right? I think the one exception is when you only have one build. Because if you only have one build, like here, and you use that on a fleet, you've got 2 armies, and Germany needs 3 armies. Like, that's just a fact of German existence. You need 3 armies to hold this 3 province line against France. Pretty much no matter what. And you could always build this fleet next year once you've managed to pick up Holland. Yeah, I don't like this at all. So the other interesting builds, I guess these are kind of expected. Smyrna down at the bottom, Naples down at the bottom. These are both fleets. It's shaping up to be Russia-Turkey versus Austria-Italy. The Austrian builds were forced. Well, not exactly forced, but if you saw Austrian fleet Trieste here, you'd be very surprised. Because that's very obviously anti-Italy, and you do not want to broadcast I am anti-Italy when there's a potential juggernaut next to you. And then we've got Army St. Petersburg, so no wave up here. Clearly, England is gonna be facing some problems from Russia, but they could be offset by the fact that Germany looks to be going up against Sweden, maybe with this Berlin build. Which feels terrible.
I can't actually believe that Germany is going up to Sweden, man. I can't actually believe it. Because if he moves up the Baltic Sea, right, he's going to lose his home, right? He's got to do something weird like Kiel to Munich, Berlin to Kiel.
Yeah.
He's like something like that. But he can't contest Holland anymore. Because he needs to use Kiel to cover Munich. Okay, maybe Ruhr to Munich, Kiel to Holland. But then what's Berlin doing? Why is Berlin a fleet?
It's a really, odd decision. I mean, I guess, shall we just move ahead and see what he does with it?
Yeah, we have to. I don't understand.
Okay. Spring 1902. It is to Munich and to Kiel. Oh, man.
But then why not just build an army in Munich, and then you can use Kiel to help with Holland?
It's a very good question.
Anyways,
Germany with some next level outgassing here, though. Ruhr to Holland bounces literally every move made aggressively against him.
Yeah, I mean, it worked. Like, he didn't even really risk anything here, hilariously.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
because Kiel still covered Munich.
Yeah, it could have lost Belgium to the French, but Belgium would be falling this year anyway if England, France are against you. It could have lost Ruhr if England lets you into Holland, which would have been quite bad, but then at least you would have been in Holland, so...
yeah, you would have been in Holland and still in Munich, presumably, because, to lose Ruhr, you would have been in Munich then.
Yep.
So you can, support Holland back. Okay, but that would have been bad. That would have been very bad, yes. Losing Ruhr, getting it... If that move had succeeded, awkward. But luckily for Germany, it didn't. So that was good for him.
Yep.
And France just, hey, congratulations, good job, Army Marseille. Happy to have you here, clogging things up. Would have been nice if you were a fleet, and then you could have done anything useful. But nope.
Yeah.
Or, yeah. Anyway, it's great. I think Austria is very happy.
Yeah, given they managed to blow up the Turkish unit here in Bulgaria, that's perfect, right?
Yep.
I
mean, could have been technically better, I think, if he had taken it from Serbia while Trieste backfilled to Serbia.
Yeah.
I think that was the theoretical best, and then he doesn't even lose Bulgaria in the fall, I believe.
Is there much of a downside to doing it like that? If you're doing it this way, I feel like there isn't much, right?
It seems like it's better, yeah. There's nothing in Galicia. I mean, I would have definitely done it the other way, but anyways, this is fine, right? I think Austria's, if you're Austria, you could not hope for a better outcome than this, right? Yeah. With these moves that Austria put in. So I think Austria was happy to have this happen.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it does seem like Serbia to Bulgaria with a backfill from Trieste would have just been a better situation, because you always prefer your fleet being in Greece here. It's too easy to get cut from when it's in Bulgaria, and you don't have many fleets. That's the problem of
Yeah, I mean,
fighting Turkey.
you'd rather have a unit in Serbia, Bulgaria, and like you're trading Army Trieste for fleet Greece, right? And like if you take from Serbia, you keep your fleet in Greece, but you don't have your army in Trieste. And if you do the other way, you have the fleet in Greece still, and you don't have an army in Trieste. Then just one of these is much better than the other.
Yeah.
But again, Austria blew up the army. Did a nice guess. He actually had his pick of yeah. This was again Austria's happy. Could have been better. Yeah, is Bulgaria going to get retaken? Almost assuredly, but whatever. He blew up an army and stalled things out for a little bit.
Yep. The bouncing glacier is quite important too here. It means that Russia's not making any progress. Russia did go into Black Sea, which gives them pressure on Bulgaria.
Yeah, the whole Russia's not making progress, I don't think I can agree with, because Moscow got into Ukraine,
Oh yeah, that's true.
and Ukraine is great, and Sevastopol, the Black Sea, is also great, because now it's like we still expect Turkey to be the one taking Bulgaria with the army, but like Russia's in the Black Sea now, and Ukraine is gonna. I mean, he's gonna have pressure on Galicia next turn, right? So Russia is just this worked out nicely for him in the south.
Yeah.
But again, I think Austria's got to be happy about it because like this is the best case for Austria.
Yep. It's an interesting position from Italy, though. Obviously, Italy could have done slightly better here by going to Eastern Mediterranean and through to Ionian. I'm not sure what they thought was going to happen going into Aegean. I guess they thought they were just going to bounce Constantinople and let Smyrna go into Eastern Mediterranean, maybe. But what they did ended up having no effect. So they've got to be a little unhappy about this, unless they were hoping to keep their fleet in Ionian so that they can launch an attack on the Austrian, maybe.
Yeah, or the French, because France does only have one fleet. I think going after France is insane here, but I think going after France is less insane than going after Austria.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Actually, you can get, since you just moved into the Tyrrhenian Sea here, obviously moving Ionian to Aegean gives you reason to go into the Tyrrhenian instead of trying to backfill Ionian. Since you're in the Tyrrhenian, you can go to Lyon and Piedmont at the same time, which is something. It's not amazing, because...
We considering France's four armies, one of them stuck.
But it's something, which...
Yeah, and I think there's actually a pretty reasonable chance that Gascony goes to Paris, because whenever France builds a bunch of armies, I think they suck, and when they suck, I think they vacate Gascony.
I mean, to be fair, these are top-level players. It's not... I don't think they're going to make eras that big, but I guess I've been wrong on that front before. They did...
But what top-level players actually build France like this?
I mean, we've had a couple, to be fair. I think the Online Diplomacy Championship that we commentated last year, maybe, had a France that did exactly this, but that France also got stuck in the corner, so it's like...
Whatever.
I haven't seen this pay off.
This was a good turn. I want to see the fall. I want to see like what's going on in the north. Also, by the way, one thing we forgot to talk about was the whole thing with Norway. Russia chose to self-bow instead of taking Norway.
Yep. This is...
I mean, whatever.
This is an interesting choice. I mean, I doubt it was a misorder. This is an extended deadline tournament, so... you know, players have all the time in the world to think through their orders and put them in. There's still misorders happen, but, like...
Not like this.
Yeah. So what's the benefit of this? It stops Norway supporting stuff? It stops Norway supporting Denmark into Sweden.
It feels better than holding with both of your units.
Yeah.
It stops Norway vacating to Skagerrak and then convoying into Norway.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels better than holding both of your units, yep. But it's holding both of your units.
But
anyways,
essentially, it is a friendly signal from Russia to England in any case, right? Given they could have taken Norway if they wanted to.
I mean, it's a little bit of a friendly signal, but at the same time, he didn't vacate St. Pete.
Yep, so it's not that friendly.
Nope, it's just like, here we are, let's go.
It's like a friendly, like, prod with a knife. It's not actually stabbing anyone, but it's just like, I've got a knife here. Don't make any sudden moves, you know. I'm just gonna keep being your friend, but also continually prodding you to make sure that you remember I've got this knife. Right, shall we go ahead to the fall?
Sure.
Okay. Fall 1902. And now that friendly prod gets a little bit harder, but it didn't it didn't work.
Man, look at this, Russia.
Oh, they walked into Ankara. What?
And they support held Austria and Bulgaria. Turkey's down another unit. Oof.
Ouch.
And that's a fleet in Smyrna. Can't support anything into Ankara. Oh, baby, Turkey's dead.
Oh, boy.
Wow, that's the fastest I've ever seen a single person stab to dismantle Turkey.
That is actually huge. I mean, Ankara is usually a weak point for Turkey because Turkey tends to build fleets in Smyrna, and fleets in Smyrna can't help against Ankara. This is always the worry of putting Russia in Black Sea. But usually the Russians at least wait until the Turk is out of Constantinople to walk into Ankara. They don't do it while they're still there. This is bold. And this is incredible. Like, this...
It's bold, but it's excellent.
Yeah, this Turkey is just stuffed.
Turkey's dead.
And
that's it. That's all there is to it. There's just nothing else for Turkey.
Yeah.
Russia's going to build an army in Sev, move it into Armenia. Nothing can stop it. Turkey can't retake Ankara before that army gets in position to support. And then, Turkey's dead.
Turkey needs to flip Constantinople and Smyrna around, but it can't. It could technically have done that while it has the fleet in Aegean, because it could convoy swap them, but it just went down 2 centers. So that's not going to happen.
Okay, so you have to disband Smyrna, right?
Disband Smyrna,
and then you can move Khan into Smyrna, Aegean into Khan. But even still, Russia's going to bounce that because there's no pressure on Ankara. Ankara gets to tap Constantinople for free.
And
Russia, Turkey's done.
Russia builds army. Sevastopol just walks it down into Armenia. You've got nothing you can do.
Yep. You need to get Austria on side somehow, but like, what's the upside for Austria to work with you instead of Russia? I mean,
especially that brings us quite nicely onto our next subject, which is what on earth is happening with Austria and Italy right here. Italy tries to convoy into Greece and walks from Venice to Piedmont, so I assume this was maybe an agreed swap on Greece, that Italy would get that, because you'd think if Italy was going for Greece as a stab, they would keep Venice on the Austrian fronts. But they don't. They go for France here, so maybe Austria just said, okay, yeah, sure, you can have Greece, then bounce them out and put 2 units adjacent to Venice, and suddenly Italy is in a really bad spot.
Yeah, by moving into Piedmont, can't defend yourself, couldn't really defend yourself even if you was in Venice.
Yep.
But by not convoying back into the mainland, he's dead. This was really smart by Austria to get on Italy to make that convoy.
Yeah, so actually just super moves all around from Austria-Russia this phase. Both of them gaining massive momentum here with 2 really nicely timed stabs.
Although, for what it's worth, I think this is still much better for Russia than it is for Austria. For one, Russia got... By killing Turkey, Russia just ensures his safety. Like, it's really hard for Russia to get eliminated from the game when Russia has conquered the Turkish home centers. Like, Russia's basically safe now. And Austria is still going to have to worry about Russia having the position on him.
Yep, absolutely.
But, like, they both get their builds, right, which is just nice. That's good news for the Austrian player.
Yep. The Austrian player obviously can't build a fleet because Trieste is covered. But they get Army Vienna, and I mean more armies for Austria is fine. You probably want more fleets if you're going against Italy, but if you have enough armies, you can just like run into Russia afterwards, which is perfectly fine, or run into Germany.
Yeah, I think it's very good for Austria that Austria is getting the army here, because if Austria could theoretically just build a fleet in Trieste or whatever, I think that would leave him woefully exposed against Russia. Because Russia's army in Warsaw and Ukraine and Romania are still scary to look at from the Balkans' perspective. Bulgaria is still going to be threatened by this fleet in the Black Sea, but I think Austria is very happy to build an army here.
Yeah, I completely agree. Uh, uh, yeah, I'm just now looking at the west side of the board, which we haven't really talked about very much. Obviously, Russia gets bounced out of Norway. It would have been an even better phase for them if they'd gotten in, although maybe actually worse in that they would immediately be seen as, like, you are the favourite to win, so...
Yeah, being at 8 centers when everybody else is at 6 is terrifying.
Yep. And apart from that, lots of red arrows here. There's contestant, like, France fails to get into Ruhr, England fails to get into Holland, Germany also fails to get into Holland. France is the only player who makes any progress, and I think the only successful move in the West? Yeah, with Picardy to Belgium.
Yep. Just a joke. Complete joke.
Please, France, do not build army Paris.
I mean, what? Is he going to build Fleet Brest and stab England? No way.
I mean,
what's he going to do?
You have to build Fleet Brest anyway, right?
I mean, he better, but what if he waves, man?
I mean, I guess a wave is fine.
Wave is better than Army Paris.
It's definitely better than Army Paris. But
right,
yeah,
let's see it.
And actually this is the perfect opportunity to build Fleet Brest because you had the excuse of, I tried to get out of Marseille, you know, I supported myself into Burgundy even. It's not my fault my unit happened to be there.
It's not my fault. And also, I need a fleet. Italy attacked me. I need to be able to defend myself.
Yep.
Let's,
yeah.
I need a fleet, sorry.
Well, shall we see what happens in the winter here?
Yeah. Hey, all right.
Yeah,
Great.
Fleet Brest, perfect.
Cool. Let's see the spring.
Army, well, let's have a look at our power rankings first.
Power rankings, sure.
Yep.
Russia, Austria.
So...
God, is France above England despite this?
I mean, they managed to get the second fleet on the board, so now a lot of their problems are just negated, right?
Yeah, he's still super safe, still on 6 centers. Yeah, fine, France is higher than England. Actually, France is higher than Austria, too. God damn it, why is France such a good country? It's just so annoying. It's just... It doesn't matter how badly you play France. You just thought you're France. You're on 6, you have 2 fleets, you're invincible, whatever. Fine, France is even better than Austria. This sucks. You know that Turkey's last, because Turkey's last.
Yeah.
Would you rather be Italy or Germany? I would much rather be Germany than Italy. And would I rather be England or Germany?
I feel like I'd rather be England, right? Like, Germany's... Well, I don't know. Who's going to attack Germany here? Like, England's positioning is weird. They have to...
Yeah.
They could
and the
go
second
into
fleet from France, man. Because France can just tie down this front against Germany and be like, hey, buddy, I'll let you into Holland. I'm a self-bouncing Ruhr for a little bit. It doesn't even need to say that. He just needs to be like, yo, I'm going to go kill England real quick. Just sit where you are for a buddy. And then it's fine. But I don't know. I don't know between England and France... Excuse me, between England and Germany who I'd rather be. But definitely Turkey's last, Italy's second to last, Russia's first, France's second, Austria's third. And then, like, 4-5. I don't know.
Yeah. It's an odd one. It would be a really, really odd situation if after that fleet build in Berlin and the bounce out of Holland, Germany was above England. But I think actually the fleet build in Berlin...
above Italy?
Germany has to be above Italy here, right? Because Italy is just they're so open, and Germany, at least there's no threat on their home supply centers. Italy has to convoy back to Rome, I assume. It could be Apulia. But they've
I
lost
would
Venice
assume convoys to
guaranteed.
Rome while Ionian goes into Apulia.
Yeah, but they've still lost Venice guaranteed, right? It's a really painful spot. And even if they
Oh,
take
because
Venice
Tyrolia
back,
supports. Yeah, I'm stupid. I was just what I was thinking about looking at the board was assuming they got back into Apulia and Rome. I thought they would be able to retake Venice, but they don't because they just support from Tyrolia. Or excuse me, they have Tyrolia support from Trieste, and they backfill Trieste.
they could actually. Yeah, no, that is guaranteed, right? And yeah, even if they
Unless they
did,
get Germany, if they get Germany to tap Tyrolia, Italy's in business.
I feel like Germany has more important things to do right now.
Like what? Really, with this
Uh,
army unit, what? Support hold
support
Ruhr?
Ruhr, I assume. I mean, yeah, they kind of need to push for Holland though at the same time.
I
Um,
guess. And Germany also probably doesn't want to piss off the Austrians.
yeah, that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, I completely agree. As I said earlier, Germany is above Italy. Yep, confirmed, absolutely.
So the question is really between Germany and England.
I'd say England above Germany. The fact that I was considering putting Germany below Italy means, nah. England's England. It's a corner power. It's better.
Yeah, but it's a corner power with France in Brest and the Mid-Atlantic Ocean, which
Yeah,
is
France, he still has an army in Yorkshire. France isn't going to attack England this year.
yeah, that's fair.
You're going to get France to push south, and once France goes south, England's going to stab them. It's going to be great.
Okay, it's gonna be. Let's update the power rankings here then with our new ones. Ewok at the top. Philip in second place as France. Austria, Pestemer going in third. Riaz in fourth as England. Dave Roberts as Germany in fifth. And then we got Max Vex on Italy in sixth and Turkey. Poor old Tangian there, right down at the bottom with that absolutely brutal stab on Ankara. Just, well, I mean, not completely taking him out of the game yet, but it's very close to.
So he's still Turkey, all right? And if crazy nonsense happens, like, it's going to be difficult for Russia to take Smyrna, right? That's still a fleet in Ankara, so he needs to use his army instead to get down there. And chaos can happen. Right?
Yep.
Maybe it's hard. Okay, Turkey's 10. There's a reason to put Turkey last. Look, crazy, stranger things have happened. All right, it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely possible. We've seen massive comebacks from Turkey in the past, but let's.
This is a 1910 game, right? So it's most centers by the end of 1910. No, Turkey's not. Turkey doesn't have a chance.
In the last Nexus season, we had a Turkey come back from, I think, 1 supply center to 6 at the end of the game, which put them in third place.
Yeah, but that's not winning.
Yeah, it wasn't a win still. We have yet to see a win from a position like this. Well, let's move ahead and see if this is something Tangian can pull off. Alright, spring 1903, and players are drawing stupid arrows on the board that make it difficult to interpret what's happening. Please don't do this, players. It's very irritating.
I think it's great. I'm really happy with this.
Okay, sure.
Just.
uh,
But yeah. So this turn's wait. This turn is crazy. So Austria didn't attack Italy.
Austria
He didn't
turned
take
around
Venice.
and went for Russia. And Russia turned around and started supporting Turkey. What? And Turkey started supporting Italy against Austria. Okay. So, clearly Italy anticipated Austria taking Venice because they walked into Rome and Tuscany here and let France into Piedmont. So they were trying to take back Venice that way.
Yeah, they're perhaps offering to support France into Venice. Rather, better France has it than Austria, certainly. And then they were going after Greece as well.
Yep.
I mean, and then Italy is going to support Turkey into Bulgaria.
Yeah.
And then Turkey's going to get to build an army in Smyrna. The Austrian fleet is going to get disbanded. And then, all right, look, this is nonsense. This is complete nonsense.
So
I love it, but it's nonsense.
Austria turning around and Russia turning around. That's an interesting one. I think. Oh, I mean, that can't have been the right choice here, right? I like the Italian defense. I think the Italian defense would have worked wonders if the Austrian had continued attacking them. But I can't believe that even with that, it can't have been the right choice to turn around here. You don't gain anything from attacking Russia. Were you counting on Turkish support? And Turkey can't help. You're on your own. It just feels fruitless.
I mean, if you expect Russia to attack you, you have to do something to not die to Russia. Um, but it also does feel like you kind of need to survive, and yeah, I don't know. Like if Russia's attacking, you're kind of dead. I don't know, but it would seem likely that Russia was attacking, right? If we assume that Russia doesn't defend, right? Let's say Russia does something different, like if he does move Sevastopol to Armenia, he keeps Ankara. He has Ankara tap Constantinople, for example. Um, and he doesn't support hold Romania, right? So, or maybe he does even support hold Romania, but you bounce him out of Galicia, you hold him in Romania, you still get into Bohemia. In the fall, you're threatening getting into Silesia and Galicia. He still has to hold Romania, and he has guesswork with Ukraine. Are you going to get Galicia or are you going to get Romania? Right? Every turn you have a rough guess. And we all assumed that Russia was moving Sevastopol into Armenia, right? We just thought that was going to happen. I really like these Austrian moves. I think they happen to go terribly in this particular situation, but I think, like, I mean, you heard me talk about it. I was terrified of Russia as Austrian. I was like, I think that Austria stabbing Italy benefited Russia even more than it benefited Austria. Given the texture of the board. I think that this is just like him making the stab against Italy. Italy and Turkey then got on board to attack him, and then Russia is just played magnificently. I don't think you chalk this up to poor Austrian play. I think this is just Russia next leveling everybody, realizing that Turkey and Italy can work together for a bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder. So obviously, this attack definitely goes a lot better if Russia is going into Armenia here. You get Romania off of this attack, so that's where your center comes from. You're then set up to go after Galicia. It's still a pain in that Italy is going to be incredibly irritated at you and throw at you, but maybe you get Turkey on side and then you're probably alright. The support up to Constantinople from Aegean seems to indicate he was thinking of doing that, because that would be what Turkey would be trying to do if they're getting their centers back, right? They're moving Constantinople to Smyrna, Aegean to Constantinople, and setting up on Ankara. What I think happened looking at that is that he went and pitched this idea to the Turk, and maybe the Turk was more annoyed at Austria than at Russia for some reason, and went to Russia and said, you know, this is what Austria is planning to do, you need to not attack me here. And that changed Sevastopol's orders to a support hold. And maybe Ankara moving to Black Sea was part of that too.
And from Turkey's perspective, this is best possible situation, because he might get a build, right? If he gets back into Bulgaria, which seems like Italy is likely to do it. I'm not sure if that's actually the case, but like it seems very reasonable to me that Italy would support Aegean to Bulgaria here, as sort of payment, but whatever. Even still, he's got the two people who were killing him to be at war with each other now, and he just needs to get one build, and then he's going to retake his home, and then he's going to just be set back as Turkey, and he can go and do Turkey things.
Yep.
So
he could even walk back into Ankara here, right? Depending on whether Russia covers it.
Yeah, it's possible. I probably wouldn't. Like, I would probably go after Bulgaria here, because I think it's pretty likely that I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what I would do here. I have to think. So,
I mean, it's fair. If you get Bulgaria, you build a unit in Smyrna, and then you get Ankara by default anyway. So,
yes, so you're just fine. And then you have Bulgaria. The thing is, I actually think Italy is probably going to support hold Bulgaria now.
Balance of power stuff?
Do I think it's likely? No, I believe the optimal move for Italy is certainly to support hold Bulgaria here. And just go back to we're fighting the Juggernaut. Right, I'm with Austria. Austria didn't actually attack me, and I have Greece now. So if I'm to Italy, I'm incredibly happy to have this version of the Austria-Italy versus Russia-Turkey version. Also, Turkey is super weak and Russia is super strong, so Austria's going to get no gains. I'm eventually going to get Eastern Med, and then I'm going to be the one who gets everything from Turkey, and I already have Greece. So I think if I'm Italy, I'm going to say, oh, great, I'm in Greece. Hey, Austria, I took this from you because I thought we were at war. I'm going to support hold you in Bulgaria now. Let's just go back to our alliance from the past. And so if I'm Turkey, I think Italy's going to make that play. I can't go for Bulgaria. I have to go for Ankara to re-establish myself to get a second fleet in the south, and then maybe I even tell Russia that's what's happening. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to retake. Oh, but then we can't take Bulgaria. That sucks.
I guess actually you, if you just want a second fleet in the south, you could ask Russia to put their Black Sea fleet in Constantinople and swap Frank, because then Russia is not going to be like that annoyed about you taking something if they're getting something in return, and you get the Russian fleet out of your hair because you can just force it through.
Yeah. The problem is the fleet Black Sea actually has tons of utility in this fight because Romania is going to be threatened and Bulgaria has been captured already. So
yeah, it's been captured with a fleet though, so it's not that threatening right now against Romania anyway. But yeah, Black Sea is a very useful province for getting back into Bulgaria anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is a really interesting South. Like, I haven't seen a South this interesting in a very, very long time. This is only 03, man.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous.
I know, right? And also,
we thought that Turkey was dead. Like, literally last turn, the Russia stabbed, and then it looked like Turkey was just out of the game. It looked like he was gone. And then the following turn, I see Turkey's potential growth. It looks like Austria's dead. And then we thought about this turn, and I realized, I don't think Austria's dead at all. I think it's going to be back to Turkey being dead because Italy needs to, like, just work with Austria now. We're actually seeing a board that looks like there are supposed to be dynamic relationships here. And that is so cool.
Yep.
I'm so unused to these boards because normally just the Juggernaut makes an alliance and then they just steamroll. They hit Austria, Italy, and then they stall out, and then whatever. No, this is great. I want to see the next turn.
And you also, well, we haven't even talked about the North yet, but like...
Yeah, because the North is boring as balls. What happens? He moves the Baltic Sea. Okay, great. He convoys into Holland.
Yeah.
The alliances haven't changed.
One unit that benefited out of this whole shakeup in the south is France managed to get that fourth army out of its territory into Piedmont. Its path is now fully blocked. There's no, like, Austria is in Tyrolia, so you can't get it any further at the moment. But maybe you can convince them to stand aside for you for a second. Who knows?
I think it's pretty likely that Austria is trying to get Tyrolia into Bohemia or back into Trieste. I think it's non-zero that Tyrolia is vacant and you just walk in there.
Which could have a huge impact on the West here.
Yeah, if only Germany had an extra army.
Yup. I mean, and Germany goes into Baltic. This is something odd up here.
Yeah, it's just terrifying. I mean, England's going to get another build now and everything's dead.
Yeah, I mean, what's this? Is this like an attempt to sell England on, okay, you can have Holland, but then I'm supporting you into Belgium or something? We'll go after France. Look at this French position. They're clearly much stronger than you. I don't think this is the way to do it anyway. I think you needed to go for Holland here with your fleet. Annoying Russia is just... Man, Russia feels like your natural ally in this situation, even though they're strong. They're strong in an area that, you know... I mean, you're on 4 supply centers with an alliance against you. You don't have much of a choice of, you know, who you're working with.
Yep, this move seems suicidal.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to grab a build while they can and then, you know, put an army down? That would be an explanation, right? If you feel like, oh god, I messed up in that first year by building a fleet, I need an army right now. That's your opportunity to get it, but surely... you couldn't have gotten Holland, I guess, without losing Ruhr, so... Oh, but it feels so bad stabbing the one person you can probably count on in order to do this. That doesn't seem worth...
No, and like now there's an army in Holland. Ruhr's fallen,
Yeah.
and so you're gonna lose Munich and Kiel next year, guaranteed. And that's assuming Austria doesn't even do anything, right? Austria isn't Bohemia and Tyrol yet. Austria can go after Munich this turn. And if Austria assumes they're gonna take Ruhr, then maybe Austria just does that. Like they can get an extra build and extra unit against Russia for next year. So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. But this is just like here's the fleet. What's the fleet in Kiel doing, man? Nothing. You need to have an army in Kiel. So great. We've established this fleet sucks. It's had ramifications for years. If you have a fleet, might as well move it into Baltic Sea. That's fine. Whatever. I think Germany is. Man, our power ranking sucks. We put Germany above Italy and Turkey.
Yep.
Jeez.
I think we got the wrong order on that one, but we have to wait another year and a half before we can fix them, according to our power ranking method, which of course is extremely arbitrary.
Let's see the fall.
Yeah, let's go ahead to fall 1903 here.
Okay,
And
we
have a
did
look.
not see what I expected at all.
Is that
Look at the south.
Austria supporting France into Venice? What? And
Yeah, and
uh,
into
okay, so Italy didn't actually attack Austria in any way, right?
no, but also didn't support whole Bulgaria. Was there an attempted support hold with Greece, but then it got messed up?
No, it was just to hold that province, and of course Bulgaria ended up attacking Greece here. Clearly, a last-minute change, maybe because Serbia was support holding Bulgaria, but yeah, I mean it wouldn't have made a difference. The Russian was cutting Serbia, but yeah, Italy needed to support hold Bulgaria for Bulgaria to stand here. And they decided not to, which I think is actually fair in this situation. You get that Turkish fleet out of the Aegean. If you can convince Turkey to build an army here, you're good, but I don't know that they will.
It seems very unlikely. I mean, actually, I think it's pretty likely that Turkey builds an army because the army Smyrna means they retake Ankara.
Yeah, that's true. It depends how
But I
much they
think it's
trust Russia.
also, yeah, it's also super likely Turkey just doesn't, and they just build a fleet Smyrna, and you're sad.
Yep. And then, Bulgaria goes straight back out into Aegean. You've lost all the all the progress you made. And Italy moved Tyrrhenian Sea to Western Mediterranean, which is a very interesting choice right now. I mean,
I mean, to be fair, Ionia doesn't seem that important at the moment because Aegean Sea moved up to Bulgaria, right? I assume Italy knew about that, so Ionian is not getting threatened with anything adjacent.
yeah,
It does feel like it's going to be threatened relatively soon, but Western Med seems better than Tyrrhenian Sea for now, and then France is going to kick you out again, so who really cares?
yep. But ultimately, the biggest win of this phase is in the north, right? It's France.
I mean,
With this Austrian... Why is Austria supporting France into both Munich and Venice? I don't see how that advantages Austria at all. That's just like... You just made up with Italy. What? Why are you trying to push France into Venice? France can't help you at all.
I mean, it seems like Austria tried to make up with Italy, felt betrayed by Italy taking Greece, and then wanted to get back at him, and then in exchange also was supporting France into Munich because Austria didn't like Germany, I guess.
It makes sense, but like, if you're gonna offer France support into one of those, surely you ask France for support into the other. Don't just give
Yeah,
everything to France. They're
that's
France.
usually how these things look, I think.
Uh,
Also, so from a strategic perspective here,
oh,
we
wait.
need.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Sorry?
I spotted
So,
something, but you go first.
yeah, so from a strategic perspective here, if I am Austria in this situation, I am terrified of Russia. Okay, I feel like Russia needs to get pressure from the north. What do you think is the country that's most likely to give Russia pressure in the north?
England, I mean.
Right? It's England.
Yeah.
Maybe Germany in a million years, but it's England. So, if I want England to pressure Russia, which will alleviate some pressure from me, what do I need to happen? I need to have France not threaten England. Okay?
Yep.
That needs to happen. There are a couple ways this can happen. One, France is neutered, right? Just has no fleets because England has already conquered basically all of France. That's fine. That works. But if that's not happening, then we need France to push south and then stall out against Italy so that England is free to pressure Russia in the north. Maybe that's what Austria's trying to do here. He's been like, look, you can start the war against Italy, bring your fleet south, go attack Italy, leave England alone.
Yeah, see, I would say that giving France centres, though, just hurts that, because then they're already in a threatening spot against England. They could build another fleet, and then you're just like, oh no. Even if they're using that against Italy, it's hugely threatening against England. But, thing I
want to be clear.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I mean, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, the thing I noticed, I said the big winner in the north was France. It's not France, it's England. England walks into Kiel and Denmark for free. What? Like, wow. Okay, so that certainly worked out well for England. That's probably going to have a knock-on effect of working out quite well for Austria too, because England being better in this situation is better for Austria. But that wasn't due to Austria at all. That was just because, I guess, good diplomacy on the English part made Germany do all pro-English moves. But
yeah.
But yeah, sorry, go on with what you were going to say.
Yeah, I was trying to say, I feel like that's what Austria was trying to do, but I feel like Austria was entirely unsuccessful at it.
Yep.
It was the go attack Italy. Hey, I'll help you. You should do what I want. And then by helping him, you make him very strong.
Yep. But England's definitely going to stay on par with France here, I think, because of two builds here. France
is only getting one.
Also, it's not just two builds, it's that German fleet gets pulled from Denmark to Sweden and knocks the Russian fleet out into Finland. So that's 3 enemy fleets become 2 because the Finnish fleet is completely useless, right? And it looks like Germany is even maybe being a vassal here of some description, although I wonder if they were hoping that England would not do this.
Yes, that England wouldn't take Kiel, so that Germany stays on 3. But by Germany taking Kiel instead of Holland, Germany goes down 1.
Yeah.
Holland was neutral.
I feel like you should always cover Kiel in this circumstance, right? Because either you're losing Kiel or you're losing Ruhr to a supported attack. So Ruhr moving back to Kiel either saves it or, you know,
doesn't lose Kiel.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
I agree, but he didn't, so here we are.
It's possible also he was anticipating support to Belgium, which actually that would make the most sense here, right? That's why you enter Ruhr to Belgium and Munich to Burgundy.
Yep.
And clearly good diplomacy on the English part, like fantastic diplomacy on the English part.
And also a smart by England to not have Germany take Ruhr from Burgundy, because then Ruhr would retreat into Holland and be annoying. But instead, it just sits there in Ruhr with an empty supply center adjacent.
Yeah, so have France take Ruhr, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true, and Germany is now down to 3, I think. So they have a disband.
2. I think he's down to Berlin and Sweden.
Oh yeah, it is just Berlin and Sweden. He
lost Kiel and lost Denmark.
Wow. Okay, this is like professional dismantling here. That was absolutely brutal. Just wow.
I mean, 3 powers working together against 1 is usually a quick end for the one. Most often we see that as Austria getting crushed by all of his neighbors, but in this case, we see Germany get demolished by all of hers.
Yep.
Okay, great. Let's see the builds.
Absolutely. Wait, did we talk about this? Yeah, we did talk about the South. Okay, through to winter 1903. Okay, both the German fleets are off the board.
All the northern fleets are gone.
Yeah, and the Russian fleet is off the board as well. That's true.
Wow. Most northern fleet that's non-British is a fleet mid-Atlantic Ocean. We're going to see England take St. Pete and then lock down France. England's going to win this game.
England's certainly doing well here. And yeah, Fleet Marseille build from France, not wanting to annoy the English player, I guess, and looking to go into the Mediterranean. Italy does not really have the force to oppose it, but also there is that massive English threat in the north that could just sweep in. And the... Wait, is that a Fleet Venice build?
I believe that is a Fleet Venice build.
That is, okay. I was gonna say the most interesting build on the board is this Army Smyrna, because it does show Turkey is looking to work with Italy and not Russia, after all. But Fleet Venice. Wow. Okay. Italy is very anti-Austria then, because the only place that can go is Adriatic. That is just a straight up, I want to attack Austria now build. So, ouch on the Austrian front.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Italy can make peace with Turkey, then he can use Greece to hold the Ionian, help him with Tunis. No, he can't. He needs to keep Greece where it is because Greece is his center.
Yep.
Yeah, Austria's position looks a lot worse now.
Yep. And I think that was just a bad disband on the Austrian part, right? You need to get rid of Bohemia or Tyrolia here. Budapest is central. It's
a home supply center. Yep.
Yep. Even if
I would definitely disband Tyrolia here, but I also would have made peace with Italy better than he did.
Yeah, or tried to anyway.
I mean, I wouldn't have supported Piedmont into Venice.
Yes, I think that's very fair. But even if you're trying to maybe work negotiation with Russia here and get them back on side, disbanding Budapest is not the way to do that. It looks non-aggressive towards the Russian, but it also gets rid of your main way of working with him, I think. Because you want to move army down to Serbia and Serbia over to Albania, or Serbia into Bulgaria with Russian support, if you're doing that. Like Bohemia, Tyrolia, those can't do anything useful here.
With Russia, yeah. They're about messing with the West, and Russia is not in the West.
I mean, maybe his pitches, look, France, England are so strong, you need my units here to contest them, to stay in the game.
Yep, you're right. I do need your units. I need all of them to go purple.
Yep, I think that is probably what is going through Russia's head right now.
If I'm on 10 centers, I'm probably going to win this game.
Absolutely.
Right? That's just a pretty good number to get to. And so, even if England and France fight, neither one of them is going to kill the other by the end of this game. So if I can eat you, I win.
Yeah. Well, shall we go ahead to the spring?
Let's do it.
Alright. Spring 1904. And... well, where do you want to focus on first?
The South seems pretty simple. Russia and Austria are still at war.
Yep.
Turkey walks into Ankara. Looks like they have some agreements. And that's about it. There's just a bunch of shuffling.
Yep. I mean, if we look at what's going on with Austria here, they've pulled back their units from Tyrolia and Bohemia anyway to this spot. So I just feel like that would have been much... They would have had a turn's head start on where they're at if they had just kept Budapest and disbanded Bohemia. But yeah, lots of shuffling from the Turk. Interesting thing, Russia doesn't even try to oppose them, right? They're just going, sure, you can do what you want. Which, I mean, Turkey is solidly back in this game now. Even if it's just on 4 supply centers, that's definitely something. Especially as Turkey. And then...
especially a Turkey where there's no fleet in Austria, and the Serbia and Greece appear to be messed. This is a great Turkish position. Right, it's a little later in the game than you'd like to be here, but Turkey's looking great.
I mean, Turkey could even take Greece here if Italy and Austria aren't on the same page, and it looks like Italy and Austria will not be on the same page, looking at the moves here. So, oh no, yeah, you can take Greece. You can't push any further because Italy's been knocked back, right? But even then, I mean, Italy is facing threats from the west already. It's a pretty nice spot to be in. As
Yes.
Turkey, not as Italy. Should make that clear. It is not a nice spot to be in as Italy. And I don't think Italy is actually going to gain anything else of this fleet Venice build. Austria is too heavily committing against them. I mean, yeah. Shall we go to the north?
Let's do it.
Okay, well, in the north we've got England walking into Sweden for free, which was guaranteed anyway, I guess. And France putting themselves into Ruhr and trying to get into Berlin, but failing. Which ends up having the German units in Holland, funnily enough. But I doubt it will stay there very long. How long do you reckon either of these powers stay allied with each other?
I don't know.
You're not sure?
I don't know, man. That's tough.
Yeah, it's just like, where do you go as England? You've got... I don't see why you're trying to put France into Berlin still. Well, maybe just to keep France on side for a moment until you're in position to stab them, right? But you've got barely anything else you can gain at this point. You do just stab,
it does start to feel that way. Especially with this most recent fleet build.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I mean, you're gonna get Holland, but what else?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that pretty much covers everything. It's very simple north. Obviously, France staying in Mid-Atlantic Ocean. Good call from France, just in case England turns around. It's a very strong province to stay in. As we've already mentioned. Shall we move ahead to the fall?
Let's do it.
Alright, fall 1904. Well, Turkey
You got your answer.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that is the important part of this board. There is a big stab here from England on France. With German assistance, actually.
And monstrous stab.
Oh man, I love
France
this English
loses
player.
Belgium and Munich. Germany stays on 2. Oof.
Yeah. And those two are armies, so 0 threat to England. And France moved out of Mid-Atlantic Ocean on the same turn. Oh.
And England gets 3 builds, I assume? Yeah, Berlin, Belgium, Sweden.
Yep. Absolutely fantastic play from this English player. And I just say, like, I massively respect what this English player has done so far. Because they talked Germany out of their supply centres, and then they talked Germany into the French supply centres, both of which have just made England this absolutely dominating power in the north. They have complete control over the north with 4 fleets, and like they will basically, maybe they might need 1 more fleet, and then they're fine. They'll never need to build another one again, which is absolutely beautiful. Like, this is the perfect English position. I
said, right, like, whatever, last year, as soon as you saw all those northern fleets get disbanded, that England's gonna win.
Yep. Yeah. I mean...
This is the continuation.
Yep, absolutely. And this, again, it's all possible just because England chose the exact right time to do this. France not gaining any centres here. In fact, they're losing some. And they just stacked these 3 fleets on the Lyon West North Africa line, which they had to do at some point if they were going to make progress against Italy. But it's that one phase where they don't have anything protecting Mid-Atlantic Ocean. And
now we're going to see North Atlantic Ocean and English Channel both get clogged. Potentially, England builds an extra fleet in Liverpool to put 3, to fill Irish Sea as well, to put 3 on Mid-Atlantic Ocean in the fall next year. But no, England's great. It's just who gets second now.
Literally the only threat to England, I think, is a build in St. Pete. which they haven't secured yet, but they can secure it quite fast, and it's so hard for Russia to get that build there while England has anything adjacent, because they have to both pull their unit out and somehow bounce the English out.
Which can be very risky. So,
Yep.
I mean, yeah, again, it's only 05, but this seems like a game where people can just concede, give England the game very soon and move on. The only one who is a threat is, can Russia gain more from the south and be bigger than England? Because you cannot take anything from England anymore. And the answer to that is just going to be no, because Austria has too many armies in defense. So,
Yep. It just looks like a beautiful English position. I could talk about how beautiful this English position is for way too long, but we
already have.
Yeah, we obviously like to keep things nice and concise here on Diplostrat, so I'll stop talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, in the south, right, we just see France move his fleets down,
Yep.
gets all ready to take Tunis, and he's not even ready to take Tunis in the spring, excuse me. He would have to commit to taking it in the fall, which is not even a guarantee, because Ionian can support Tunis and Eternian, and so it's not even a guaranteed capture in the fall, but he's not even going to go for it, because I assume France has to pull back and defend and to not lose everything to the British.
Yep.
And delay as long as possible. But Brest and Paris are only a matter of time before they're gone. Holland and Munich are going to fall. Like, even if France works with Germany now, right? Let's assume they start coordinating immediately. France has, 2 disbands, right?
Yeah.
So what do you pop?
Yes.
You pop Piedmont and
Surely
both of Lyon, I guess?
You have to pop Ruhr, right? It's so out of position.
I don't believe that. No. If you're working with Germany, you need Ruhr.
Yeah. If you can get Germany back on side, I suppose you should be able to get Germany back on side. It's still early enough in the game that Germany could go for the board top. They're probably not going to be able to get it, but there must be a chance.
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah, you have to pop.
Hey, I'll help you back into your home centers, right? So you need Ruhr for that, and then you support Holland into Belgium. We'll pop the British army there while Ruhr attacks Kiel, or perhaps supports Munich into Kiel. I'm not sure which, but that line seems important to me.
So then you do have to take off like Piedmont and Lyon. That would make the most sense.
Yeah, and then look, England's gonna have a tough time, but England's gonna take Holland and just secure everything.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this is great. England's happy. The South we saw again. Italy's just gonna derp around for a while. Bounced in Greece. Looks like it was agreed upon to my eyes, honestly.
Yep.
Just, hey, don't take Greece. I won't take Greece, and then they bounced in Greece, and then it's fine. But Turkey chose to support Russia into Serbia rather than supporting himself into Greece, which just screams, really?
Yeah, I feel like that was something Turkey should have done. I think Turkey is just in that position where they're going, I want to be on everyone's good side for the moment because I'm so small. But they needed to take... I feel like they need to take the advantage here and grow as much as they can while they can so that they can get back into the game properly. They are Turkey, but if they make moves that surround them with another power, that's just bad.
Yeah, when Austria and Russia are both equally strengthed, whatever the term for that is, when they both need you, then you're fine. And you can take Greece from Italy, and Russia and Austria will both still need you next year. And then you build your 2 fleets, and you're like, all right, let's go. But as is, Austria's with this disband, I don't think Austria's going to be much of a threat for Russia anymore. And now Russia is still in this, oh my god, how do I get to more centers than England's going to get to? And that's just going to be the question he has to answer. And I don't know, it's a tough question. One of the answers could be taken from you.
Yeah, it should be noted here, Italy could have actually gotten a build here if they had forced Venice into Trieste instead of Adriatic. I guess they thought they needed to throw the support hold on Venice because of all these Austrian units next to it. So that's obviously commentary with the benefits of hindsight. But
whatever.
They're still, I think Italy is in a better spot than it appears. Just because those French fleets aren't a threat, they're going to turn around. And on the other side, you've got a Turkey who appears to want to work with them, and probably who needs to counter Russia at some point. But yeah, they could lose Greece very quickly, and that could just seal them into the Italian position of I'm stuck here for the rest of the game. And if you're racing in England, who has like a floor of 7 supply centres, that's not going to work.
Yep.
So, yeah, shall we go ahead to the winter?
Let's see the builds.
Yeah, we can see the builds and then correct our quite wrong power rankings at this point. So, Piedmont and Western Med, I mean, that's basically the same as Piedmont and Lyon. Lyon or Western Med would both have gone to Spain there.
England waived a build.
England did waive a build. Why did England waive a build? What? Are they trying to appear less threatening? This is not the time to try to appear less threatening. People know how threatening you are.
This honestly seems like a misorder, man.
Yeah, it must have been, right?
Because if this is alright, he tried to build a fleet London and a fleet Liverpool. They both start with L. I don't know. There's no way.
Yeah, it just seems wrong to not build a unit there. Maybe he's following the advice of, you can't build more than one fleet at the moment. The fleet should be in Liverpool. That's, if you're just going against France, and if you're trying to make up with France here, is that a possibility?
No.
I mean, if France offered him, is there anything France could offer him that he'd believe?
All of his centers.
I mean, there is a possibility of, if you build a lot of armies as England, you can actually stick in this England-France alliance and just go for Russia, right? Especially given that Russia looks like the biggest competition.
If you're trying to solo, I believe this build from England is maybe viable. Even still, I think we should just build the second army already and get it over with. But, not going overboard our fleets is really important to solo. If you are simply trying to board top and win the final board in a tournament, you just don't even just build the fleet and then walk home with your 13 centers and call it a day.
Yeah.
That's just how he goes, right? You're already at 9. You take Holland, Brest, St. Pete. Okay, you're at 12 centers. Who's going to get to 13? You can maybe get another one from somewhere, but you need all the units. I think this is a misorder. I think if you ask him, he's like, yeah, I was trying to build a fleet here.
Yeah, I have to agree. And I did actually just go over and count up provinces again, just to make sure we weren't ranting at him for something that he's not done. But yes, he did waive a build here. He has 9 centers, and with these builds, 8 units. Yeah, that feels bad. Austrian disband that's precisely correct. You don't need Albania here. And Turkish build of an army, that's an interesting one. I feel like that signals that they want to stick with Italy here. But surely Smyrna is the better place for that, because it can go to... No, because Ankara goes to Armenia anyway. Never mind. It's interesting anyway. I don't know that you can do much with that army apart from convoy it to Greece anyway.
Yeah, but if you're going to convoy it into Greece, then I think you're pretty happy to have it as an army, because then you can take Serbia with it.
Yeah, that's fair. So maybe it's less indicative of anything and more just this is a good unit to have here.
Yeah, this Turkish position is pretty content to have lots of armies, I think. Because I don't think he's going to make progress against Italy anytime soon. And he's not feeling any pressure from the sea, so I think armies are just nice.
Okay. So shall we get to our power rankings? I mean,
yeah.
England at the top.
I mean,
right?
England won, everybody else last. Okay, sorry. England won, Russia 2, everybody else last.
Yeah, I think Russia has the best shot at contesting England, because Russia has the most access to the centers that you can still get that aren't locked off essentially behind the English border. After Russia, I mean, I know you want to put everyone else in last. let's do the power rankings.
France is third, Italy's fourth.
Do you think Italy is above Turkey?
No, exactly. Yeah, sorry. The next one after Russia is Turkey.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that France, I don't think they're going to lose many centres from here, but at the same time, I feel like they can't grow anywhere because of this big English wall of, I'm England, I have all the northern fleets, you are not going anywhere, you shall not pass.
Yes.
So, yeah, England, Russia, then Turkey, then France, I guess. I think I'd still put France above Italy.
There's nobody else who's going to win the game.
Look, come on. We gotta try this at least. I feel like...
We have an obligation to our viewers. Fine. Germany's last. Yeah, Austria's next to last after Germany.
And then Italy, I think.
And then Italy. Maybe Italy over France, honestly. I think France is more likely to lose centers than Italy is.
Really? I feel like there's...
I think Italy's going to end the game with more centers than France.
Okay. Yeah, I guess France is walled off in the north and they don't really have much of a way of expanding. I feel like it feels so wrong to put this Italy above this France, though. Like, looking at the position, it's just massive blue blob that's stopping France from being a good power right here.
Yeah. If England didn't exist, I think France would be better than this Italy. Excuse me, but England does, unfortunately. So.
Yeah. Okay. So we're putting the Italy above France then, and then Austria, and then Germany. Yeah.
Yep, sounds good to me.
Okay.
All right, let's see the spring.
Yep. So spring 1905 here. Right. Well, we've got the pivot from France. That's expected.
And because there's no fleet in Liverpool, North Atlantic Ocean is vacant, man.
Yeah, and actually,
it's so sad.
You were absolutely correct about Ruhr as well. Germany immediately turns around, flips on England, and they manage to take Kiel. So yeah, that's. I mean, actually, I think your plan had them blowing up the English units in Belgium here, right? Which would have worked, but this works too.
Yeah, but Belgium is still pretty likely to get captured because there's now 3 on. Okay, this is another plan. I think this is totally viable. I think I would have gone with mine, of course, because I always go with mine. But I looked at mine for like 30 seconds, and they looked at theirs for 24 hours. So I mean,
yeah. That's very fair. So, I mean, yeah, it looks like England is getting fully knocked back here, although when I say fully, they're still not going to lose Scandinavia or their homeland. But the lack of a unit...
And I mean, they're even going to have fleet superiority, because they're taking their time, they're getting Scandinavia fully, they're going to take St. Pete, and how many centers are they going to lose this turn? 1? Maybe? We'll see, because Holland is still not defended necessarily. Berlin, it can only fall if Kiel falls. I think England's going to be down 1 this year, and look, they waived the bill. They're not even going to disband a unit.
Yep.
I think it's sad, but fine.
Yeah. I mean, so something to consider here, I think, is the early game, the fact that England made that massive progress, it was all based on negotiation, right? They talked Germany out of centres, they talked Germany into helping them, everything. Maybe they relied too much on negotiation here. Maybe they were like, I'll continue doing that. And there's a point at which negotiation isn't going to work anymore because you're just the obvious power. Maybe in a normal game, you could get away with it, but on a top board, there is a point where you just cannot negotiate with people because you're so blatantly going to win if they work with you.
Yeah, and based on it looked like Belgium, was supporting Holland to Ruhr here. What was Kiel doing? Also supporting Holland to Ruhr, right? That's not gonna fly.
Yeah.
You can't make moves like that. You gotta just lock down Holland, support either one of the two into Holland. I think with Omniscience having like North Sea supporting Belgium to Holland maybe was theoretically ideal. Maybe there was some other nonsense where Belgium to maybe anyways, right? Like you need to take Holland back and not try to him out of Terror. I think that's totally a fair criticism. I mean,
Yeah. Uh, but then, shall we have a look at the south real quick here?
yeah. So looks like Turkey and Italy are very much like, hey, I don't want you to go places. Don't go there. And so they both like went away, and that's what
Yeah.
happened.
Is there any
France just
good
pulled back.
reason for moving Aegean to Eastern Med here? I feel like even if you really like the Italian, you should stay in Aegean. It gives you so much power.
I mean, if you're worried about Ionian to Eastern Med and Tunis to Ionian and Venice to Apulia,
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
if you're worried about that, but whatever.
Man, so what it looks like is happening here is maybe they said, okay, England is clearly the winner in the north. What we need to do is immediately wipe out Austria and then like pivot as hard as we can to help. But like even then, you've got that just seems like it's going to pay off very well for the Turkish player and maybe no one else.
Yeah, it seems like Turkey is just very happy with all this because Turkey just walked into Serbia and
Yep.
is still super defended. Is going to be able to take Greece at some point. Russia got Budapest, which is good, and Trieste actually, but probably not going to stay in Trieste if I had to bet. It looks to me like Italy's going to end up taking Trieste, considering
Yeah.
Ionian to Albania. So, I mean, Russia's going to be. I mean, he's going to get Vienna though, so he's still going to be +2. Like, I mean, this is Austria's now dead. Sucks to be Austria. Germany's gonna outlast Austria. That's amazing. But I don't know. I just think I think this sucks for everyone except Turkey.
Yeah, and like, I wonder if the objective here with Russia is to go Livonia to St. Petersburg to Moscow. Hope you bounce the English player in St. Pete and build a fleet. But then you're just giving even more power to the Turk, right? Northern fleets are not, and like I put a lot of emphasis on this getting fleets in the north thing because that's the only way you break this English line. But I don't actually think a fleet in St. Pete is that powerful right now because there is literally no way to back it up with anything. It just gets
Yeah, if
trapped
you
in by English
get
units.
your army St. Pete into Finland, you're gonna have 2 units on Norway. If you versus like 3 units defending.
Yeah, it's just, it's just a very difficult situation, I guess. I I don't think a Russian northern fleet is going to do very much. So
I agree.
I almost feel like Russia has to focus their builds on the south and then try and somehow break this Turkish corner in order to say, okay, I'm not going to knock the English player down any supply centers. I need to take out the powers who are stopping me from getting up to that number of supply centers. And that is Turkey. There is no way Russia gets to enough centers while Turkey is in this strong of a position.
Yep. And if you're not reinforcing St. Pete, though, you're gonna lose St. Pete to England, and then you're gonna need to take like 3 more centers to be even or to be up. So maybe just build a unit in the north is fine, just to make it harder for England to take the center from you. But no,
Yeah.
looks like Turkey's just gonna start going back, man. I mean, look, we talked about Turkey coming back. Do we think Turkey's gonna win this game? No, but Turkey actually might be the second place center. Maybe that's just it.
I feel like Turkey has a shot at winning if this continues going their way, right? Because they absolutely have the number of centers in the south they would need to. Or, well, there are enough centers in the south to overtake England. They just need to find a position where they can stab for enough of them, which is difficult.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, it's possible, right? It's definitely possible. And, like, Turkey hasn't pissed anybody off this entire game.
Yep.
right? Turkey just got stabbed, and like the person who made pissed off was Austria, who's now dead. But freaking Italy haven't fought. He didn't take Greece or anything. So yeah, I mean, look, all right, maybe I counted things out too early. I don't think I did, but like Turkey has the path forward.
Yep.
Shall we go to the fall?
Okay, yeah. Let's have a look at fall 1905 here. So, yeah. Well, that Austrian unit was short-lived, I guess. Oh man, Austria just absolutely demolished in their last year of life here. There's not much you can do with that many powers against you and no one on your side.
With only 3 units?
Yep.
Life sucks.
And that's basically all that's happening in the south. We see the Turkish armies mobilizing west, which is actually pretty nice for Russia, I guess, because it means they can't go to Armenia anymore. But that's all the movement there, aside from obviously the ones in the actual Austrian territory.
Well, that's fine. And then in the south, in the fleets, there's no movements in the south whatsoever. Mid-Atlantic Ocean covered Brest and got bounced, so nothing else changed.
Yep. And England, are they going to be able to build that unit they waved? They aren't, are they? Because they lost Kiel. So that's just a unit that never existed, and is going to be quite painful. They did manage to hold on to Belgium, which is good. France got into Holland, which is not so good for them. Well, not so good for England anyway. Yeah.
England would much rather Germany have been the one going +1 this year, and therefore not building.
Absolutely. Especially since Brest isn't occupied, that's just another fleet there. And fleets, well, it's still going to be really difficult for France to make any real progress on the seafront, even without that unit in Irish Sea, like even with no unit in Irish Sea, just because England can throw support holds on English Channel, they can try and take the guess between North Atlantic and Irish, and even if they lose guesses there, it takes forever to actually do anything.
Yeah, that's sad. I mean, England is overextended. Berlin is not a solid center. Belgium is not a solid center. Those two are going to be lost, right?
Yep.
And so, if England loses those two, then Denmark holds itself. Norway and Sweden are, and Norway and Finland, and holding themselves. So that's fine. But then you've only got 3 fleets. You've got the 3 British homelands to defend North Atlantic Ocean, Irish Sea, and the Channel. Yeah, that seems fine. England's never going below that 6.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, if England gets locked down at 6, 6 isn't going to win a game.
6 is, yeah, a lot. That's not a huge number. 6
Yeah,
is
6 isn't gonna
6
win,
just can't be a winning number, I think, right? Unless everyone is entirely even.
Yeah, right. It might be a thing where it's like there's what 40. There's 34 centers on the board. So if 5 countries, if God,
you could have 5
6 countries
at
have
6.
5. 1 country could have 4. So you need to have 1 country have 6, 5 countries have 5, and then 1 country have 3, and variants of that.
Yeah, that's I think that's a very specific
you need all 7 countries on the board, right?
Hoping for that situation is probably not the best way to win this kind of game.
It seems unlikely considering Austria is dead, so it's impossible to have a 7-way survive.
Yeah. So yeah. Suddenly England's chances not looking so good.
Yeah, I mean, just 1 turn of poor tactics, man. It's so frustrating. 1 turn is all it takes. He didn't try to consolidate and hold down in Holland and get rid of the German wild card. He didn't try to lock down St. Pete, and so he ended up losing a bunch of these exposed centers. So we'll see. We'll see how things go. It's possible that once England gets truly locked down to 6, if other parts of the board will be more chaotic, It's possible that France decides he needs more than he has in order to win, but no, that's really rough.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It just goes to show how quickly this game can turn. And we've now got to keep an eye on the south to see what happens there, because all of these powers are in with the shot. They just need to be the one that benefits the most here. I think maybe Italy has less of a shot than the other two because of their fleet situation in Albania. That's not very useful, and Turkey is kind of more threatening towards them than to Russia. But yeah, it's something to watch. Also, Fleet North Africa, I don't like that. Like, I know facing off England is what everyone needs to do right now, just to make sure that no one else, that England doesn't just win. But I don't think Fleet North Africa actually helps very much on that front. It would be much
I
better.
definitely agree that I don't think it helps very much. But also, I do think I think Italy is pretty content to have things be a little slow right now. Italy's getting a build, so if the West falls out a little bit, if France builds his fleets in the north, stays out of Italy's issues in the south, like I think Italy would rather have the fleet somewhere, but like, are they going to go to war with Turkey?
Yeah, they can't really afford that, can they? It's like Fleet Ion doesn't actually help them very much here, even if they were at war with Turkey. So, yeah.
I don't know. As I said, I think they are at war with Turkey now.
Yeah, it's like...
Right, because Turkey this turn. Turkey's either going to build a fleet, Smyrna, or build an army. And if he builds an army, he's attacking Russia. If he builds a fleet, he's attacking Italy. So is he just going to wave? Stay on 4 units?
No, he's got to choose someone, right? And also, I just don't think attacking Russia is that effective here for Turkey. I think it's just much better to attack Italy.
I see Greece, man.
Yep.
But if I'm attacking Italy, maybe I was supposed to support a hold Russia in Trieste.
But Russia wasn't staying in Trieste. That's.
But maybe Russia only left Trieste because he assumed Turkey was going to take it. Whereas if he's like, yeah, we're going to bounce an Ionian, he's going to attack Trieste with strength 2. I support hold you. You take Vienna with Budapest and Galicia, and then you keep your extra 7, right? You go to 9. That's as much as England has, man. And England's going down. You can go after Germany and hit Russia. And excuse me, you can go after Germany and hit Berlin or whatever. So I think that might have been what he wanted to do, but I think he's fine. I still agree with you. I think attacking Italy is the best move. I just don't want to see Italy build a fleet in Naples and move it into Ionia. Which isn't that what he's gonna do?
He probably will. I feel like he's got too many fleets if he builds fleet Naples. Right? He needs another army to be competitive. Where's he gonna get extra centers if he builds another fleet?
Iberia? That doesn't sound like a good option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe an army?
I think Iberia is the only choice there. It's just obviously not a good choice right here.
Yeah, so okay, I think you can totally give Italy a build. And he's gonna build an army and you're just gonna build another fleet and you're gonna laugh at Italy.
Yeah, well, shall we go ahead and see what they do build?
Alright, well.
Alright, winter 1905. Oh, it is another fleet. Okay.
Naples. Let's move it into Ionian. I guess we should look over the build.
Yeah,
Alright, well.
Just where is Italy intending to get his builds from in this case?
I mean, holding on to Greece is important, I guess.
It is, but like...
this feels bad, man.
You hope with this build that you're turning Russia against Turkey? Or Turkey against Russia? One of the two?
I mean... there are a lot of units in the Balkans, right? Yeah. And where there are units, there is tension.
This is true, but I feel like yeah, he's got to be hoping for one of them to attack the other. And, I mean, it's kind of fair. Russia is bigger. So if Turkey is just trying to, take out the biggest power, then Russia is the person to go after. But I just feel like Turkey has so much more to gain by just taking Greece.
Yeah.
But yeah,
There's not exactly a lot that the rest of the board can do against Turkey right now. Turkey's going to walk onto Greece and say, what are you going to do about it?
absolutely. And the other builds, obviously, Fleet Brest, that kind of went without saying there. We got Army Moscow, so that's a very, like, oh, I'm just gonna help support my unit against the English. But obviously Moscow is a completely non-committal build. It's like, it can go anywhere. Which is fine. It's a good place to build. And obviously Tyrolia disbands, which means we have to say goodbye to our Austrian Pez de Mer. It was a good start, and followed by a bad follow-up.
Just the interactions with Italy were tough.
Yep. But yeah, so we have lost our first player, and we are down to 6 contenders, although not all of them are much contending the title at this point, I think. Although, I feel like 5 of them are reasonably still in it, so maybe 4. I don't know about France. I feel like France is maybe still in it, given the comeback that they've had here, but yeah. Anyway.
It seems difficult for France to end up with a lot of centers, like the most centers. I think it's easy for France to have like a decent number of centers. Just to have truly all of them seems right. Have the most. How like people are going to react to that? Whatever.
Yeah. I guess you have to take like Munich, Kiel, Berlin, and hope for all of those. But yeah.
And then hope that Russia doesn't mess with you once you get there.
Yep. And then you end up being squeezed between whoever the dominant power is in the South and England. That's just painful. So, shall we move on to spring 1906?
Let's see it.
Alright. Forward to 1906 here. We have...
And, yeah. Turkey walks into Greece and says, what are you going to do about it? And
Yep.
Italy looks at him meekly and says nothing.
I do love we said, where are Italy's builds coming from here? Italy obviously had the same thought that we ended up coming to, which is Iberia. That is the only place they could pick up the builds there, and they were going to go for it.
Well, maybe, but they also moved their army into Tyrolia, right?
Yeah.
But this is the thing that makes me feel like maybe we should have built another army then, and then we could have moved the army from Venice into Tyrolia and then backfilled it, so we could have still support held Trieste. Like, yeah, maybe we're not going to get a build from Iberia.
Yeah.
Wait, was there a misorder or something in the north? Why did St. Petersburg retreat?
Okay, so I do actually know the story behind this one. You may notice that our Russian player is called Ewok. If you have watched our previous Nexus video, Ewok was one of the players in that game, and he is actually a very prolific player called Village Idiot, who plays a lot on other sites and is generally very good. He likes to hint that his identity is Village Idiot by drawing V's on the map. And this caused a huge amount of controversy at the time, because what he thought was going to happen was he entered this invalid order in St. Petersburg, right? St. Petersburg moved to Romania.
He entered an invalid move.
He entered an invalid move, and he thought that would resolve to a hold. And the way Backstabber works... The way Backstabber works is that if you enter a move, you cannot be support held. It doesn't matter whether that move is invalid or not.
Absolutely, it's the same reason why if you bounce, you can't be support held. Your unit moved.
Yep. And,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, he actually... Well, there was a huge amount of fuss over this, because it was the first time it's come up in a major tournament that this resolution caused a big difference. And obviously... Russia losing St. Petersburg here is actually a huge thing. Like, that was not going to happen otherwise.
It's unbelievably massive, because he's never taking it back.
Yep.
These 2 units that previously for England were only holding 2 centers, Norway and Sweden, are now holding 3. And it's just as simple as that.
Absolutely.
That's just England gets a build this turn because England is still only down 1, right? Oh no. They're still neutral
Well,
because they lost neutral last year, right?
they lose Belgium here, but they also Belgium got blown up, so they will end up getting a build, I think, unless they lose something else.
Yes,
but
this is wow because he likes drawing V's on the map.
Yep. And so, yeah, to explain this a little more, actually, in the diplomacy adjudicated test cases, which is where most of this adjudication stuff is decided on how things work, this move would have held. It would have, because it was an invalid move, it would have resolved to a hold, and that unit would have been support held and held against the attack. But Backstabber doesn't follow the diplomacy adjudicated test cases. It follows its own set of rules which are very slightly different, and this is one of the things that's very, very slightly different. And of course, in 100 games it won't matter, and then just one it will come up, and this is the one where it came up, the Nexus Grand Final, as it happened. So yeah, but honestly, he should not have been messing around with that unit anyway. It was an important.
I mean, okay, the fact that if he checked adjudication test cases and he saw that this is a strength 2, I think I'm less likely to laugh at it because I think I would expect that to just work, right? Because I assume the site is going to work that way. But no, that's really funny. I mean, it is clearly a V.
But
it's
also,
very much a nice V on the map.
It is a beautiful V. We'll give him that. In fact, it turned into a triangle rather than a V, right?
Because of the black, yeah. But
yeah,
it should be noted. St. Petersburg.
Backstabber does have its own sandbox, and you can actually create a sandbox from any state and test out your orders. So really, if he was in any way unsure about this, he should have tested that out first. But yeah. Anyway,
Sully was not unsure about it, and clearly got hella punished.
Yep, absolutely. At least he's not being attacked in the south.
Radical. One of the most influential misorders I think I've ever seen.
Yep. I mean, I feel like I've seen more influential misorders than this, but not in the same way. This was an order that he entered thinking this is how it worked, and it didn't work that way. That's quite different from your usual I clicked the wrong button thing.
Yeah, but okay, so that's how the board looks. In the West, right? We do see that Holland takes Belgium, and wait a second. Wait. England is self-bounced in Kiel?
Yeah. Why is that?
Why didn't he just support himself into Kiel from Denmark? If he theoretically had done that, then Kiel would have retreated into Holland, and England would have taken Kiel. So not only would France not be going +1, England would be going +1 instead. Because of the misorder. But, what?
I've got to feel it's negotiation again, right? Because, I mean, Germany also bounced in... But, the bounce in Row was to kill the English units, so I guess that's not...
Yep.
Yeah,
there are wars. There's no negotiation. You gotta get your tactics, man. Negotiation's important and all. God.
Yeah, moving Berlin to Kiel just doesn't help in any circumstance, I think. That should have been a support. That was a bad decision on that front. Yeah, and England pays the price. Well, they pay the price in not gaining Kiel. They might. Well, they probably won't gain Kiel now because Germany.
Yeah, I mean, it's simultaneously by not gaining Kiel. Also, if they had taken Kiel, it would have retreated into Holland.
Yes, and
so that would have denied France a build.
This turn, there's no reason for Germany not to just throw a support hold on Kiel and make sure that they keep it, or throw a support into Berlin, given there's a Russian unit there now that will probably help them.
Yep. It's just terrifying. Very sad.
Yeah. So, it's a so-so phase for England, because they also did gain a centre that they should not have taken. St. Petersburg.
Yeah, but this is amazing, right? Because St. Petersburg is so much more important than Kiel, because St. Petersburg now it's locked, right? With no northern fleets, these 2 units never get broken in the north ever, right? So this is just 2 units. It used to be holding 2 centers, now it's holding 3. Now England's minimum is no longer 6, it is 7.
Yep.
And that's just huge.
Yeah. Well, is there anything more to talk about in the south?
Let's go to the fall.
We've pretty much covered it all. Let's go ahead to fall 1906. And we have some fighting. Italy loses another center here. This is a painful year for Italy. They're going minus Greece and minus Trieste. Turkey choosing to put the Russian in Trieste? Is that... I guess actually that's a good idea, because Russia is losing St. Pete. They're not going to build anything new. It just keeps them on the same center count and takes Italy down 1.
I don't know. Because Italy's already disbanding 1. What's Italy's second disbanding going to be? His first one is going to be his fleet in Western Med.
Yep.
And then his second one, what's that going to be? Probably Tyrolia?
Albania, surely? You don't want to disband your...
I would definitely disband Albania before Tyrolia.
Yep.
Yep, you are correct. Yep.
Just, if you're Italy and you're defending yourself, 2 armies, 2 fleets is probably the right number to be on. Yeah, you need 2 armies for the north, and you need 2 fleets for the south.
And especially because there's only 2 fleets on the board in the south, and so getting that third is going to be annoying. It's going to come all the way home from Turkey. And the 2 armies in the north, Piedmont, Venice holds for a long time, so I think, yeah, definitely.
Yep. Right. And in the north, we see Russia being unable to take back St. Pete, even with the attempted support of Romania. That is not going to help. But they do manage to kick England out of Berlin, and Germany's very happy. And
England again is going for annoying nonsense. Right? He's trying to be talking talk. No, less talk. More attacky attack. Support yourself into Kiel. Try to take Holland. Do things.
I see. Yeah, maybe he was thinking that Kiel and Belgium would self-bounce over Holland? And he was hoping he could bait Kiel into Holland and move Denmark down behind it. But then,
if you think that's reasonable, and then just have Denmark support Berlin into Kiel.
Yeah, that's probably the better way to do that.
And that still works out here. And again, if you can read the future, then you have Denmark support Berlin to Kiel, and North Sea takes Holland, and then hey, actually you're still neutral this year. No, you're still +1 on the total center count, plus St. Pete, plus Kiel, plus Holland, minus Berlin, minus Belgium, plus the disband. You actually end up building 2. As is, you end up if you do the other one, you're just gonna be neutral on center count this year. As is, you're down 1, so even though you blew up your army, you're still not building.
Yep.
Just a travesty. A travesty. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's... That said, I think England is going to be able to hold what they have, but I don't see them making any real advances from here. I guess it depends what Germany decides to do from this point forward, because they have to build an army. And then where do they go? They try and take Holland? And, keep slowly growing? Maybe.
I think if I'm Germany, though, I realize I can't win the game anymore.
Yeah, and then
so it's all about throwing.
Who annoyed me the most? It was probably England walking into Denmark and Kiel at the start of the game. France has attacked Germany more, but France kind of did it in a less underhanded way, I feel like. They attacked with Austrian support, right? And Germany was trying to defend against them. Germany was trying to do stuff with England, and England stabbed them in the back. So, obviously we don't know the full extent of the press. We should always make that clear at the start. These commentaries don't see the press, so yeah, we have to guess. But if I was guessing who Germany is more annoyed by, I would say England. Yeah.
So I think there's something said for that. There's also a lot to be said for the fact that I just get the feeling that England is the silver-tongued magician based on the moves he's made people do earlier in the game.
Yeah.
And so as a result, people might just like him more than France. But based on the moves I've seen, it certainly seems like England has done more to be annoying than France has.
Yeah, and of course, it's not just helping France here, right? If you just stay in your block and stop England from going anywhere, you're also helping all the people on the other side of the board who have not not annoyed you in any way whatsoever, I'd assume.
Yeah, the only one who did was Austria, who has died for his hubris.
Yes. uh, so is there much else to talk about on the other front? What is Mid-Atlantic Ocean doing? It's just entering a random convoy, I think. Okay.
I believe it's holding.
Yeah, it's essentially holding. It's got a convoy in that doesn't make any sense. But
Yeah, so we're gonna see France build a fleet Marseille, I think.
yeah, I mean, is now the time where you build an army and you say, okay, I'm just gonna hold my line against England and see if I can pick up anything, stuff elsewhere? Because even with the extra fleet, I don't see him making much progress in time. I suppose you still have like 5 years left, right? So, well,
However, he has as much time left as he has, which is enough time for progress to be made.
Yeah. Well, I guess, shall we, I feel like we've more or less discussed all the moves here, so shall we just see what people build?
The builds? Yep.
Yep. Winter
Fleet Marseille.
1906. Yep. Yeah, you're correct. Fleet Marseille. I feel like that could have been an army.
Maybe, but I just think fleets are better for France than armies. Basically, always.
Are they when England has blocked off the entire north, though, and you're like, where am I getting my builds from?
Maybe. My feeling is like we're gonna shuffle Brest to Picardy, Mao to Brest, Spain to Mao.
Yeah, he can slowly make progress. It's a question of whether that can be fast enough.
This channel pretty quickly, and then we can convoy armies onto the mainland. England doesn't actually have the lockdown here.
That's true. So yeah, maybe, well, that has to be his plan, right? In the south, we see Tyrrhenian come off instead of Western Med, which is an interesting choice.
Yeah, whatever.
It loses Ionian.
No, that's not whatever.
That's not whatever at all.
Wait. Excuse me. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Mistakes were made.
What is the benefit of keeping Western Med here? I don't see any benefits of keeping Western Med. Maybe you can slip into
You wanted to give Ionian to Turkey. That's it. That's the benefit. Yep. Okay, so Italy's dead.
Yeah, maybe you're saying, like, I can harass people for you if you don't attack me, but, like, what are you going to harass with Western Med? There's no help.
You're going to harass France, the guy that you need to hold the line against England.
Yeah. So yep. That's a bad disband. Although I just don't see what. I mean, Albania was correct, obviously. And when we say you need 2 fleets and 2 armies to defend yourself, those 2 fleets, like, you need the fleet to be defending, not off attacking Iberia. But yeah.
But Turkey's not going to attack Ionia with the Aegean and Eastern Med. He's going to just sit there and do nothing. That's why he built a fleet in Smyrna.
I mean, it's possible he was trying to convince Turkey to turn around and go into Black Sea, but if you're trying to do that, you should keep Tyrrhenian anyway, because then you can say, look, you're not going to make any progress going this way, turn around and go into Black Sea. Now you've essentially said, hey, look, in order to convince you to go to Black Sea, I'm going to disband my unit and allow you to go as far west as you want. Which is, that's more of an invitation to just go west.
Yep.
Right, we have to do power rankings. And I feel like they're quite interesting at this point. Man, I don't know who to put first. I feel like
Turkey is going to win this game.
You think Turkey? I could see that. I could definitely see that. Just because Russia is not really in a position to handle Turkey right now. And Turkey feels like... Well, if Turkey gets a good run, they can definitely overtake England, right? And England's not getting any bigger.
I see Turkey has no enemies. Right, no one is set to take a single center from Turkey. I see an Italy who has no potential to defend against him. And so Turkey I expect Turkey to have Naples, Tunis, and Rome by the end of the game. With that, that's 9. And then is Russia going to get a bunch of German centers? If he moves to take German centers and Turkey times a stab appropriately, then Russia loses all the Balkans and then it's completely over. If Russia doesn't, if this turn Russia goes into Black Sea, Romania, and Budapest, okay, that's the time. It has to be now.
Yep.
But if it's not, I think Turkey's going to get there.
Man, should Turkey have built, Fleet Con instead of Fleet Smir then?
No.
No? It's too risky of getting the Russians to turn on you.
If you do that, it shows the Russian... actually, it's Village Idiot, right?
Yes. So, I mean, he's probably going to
I'm
turn
at a top
around.
board, maybe. I don't know. Fleet Smyrna is the fleet that you build, right? You just autopilot. You put the build in and then you move on to it, because
Oh,
you
also,
want to fleet in the south and you build it in Smyrna. I mean,
yeah, it should be noted when he built Fleet Smyrna, he probably didn't expect Italy to disband Fleet Tyrrhenian. So it makes a lot more sense in that context, because then you need the third fleet to take Ionian.
yeah.
So yeah, Russia absolutely has to pivot here. Otherwise, I think Turkey wins. And so putting Turkey at the top of the power rankings makes sense. I feel like England is still second.
Yeah, I mean, England is still doing great.
Yeah.
It's just, England's position on the board is stronger, but because, his position is so much stronger than Turkey's, more people are countering him, and therefore, the way that the board looks right now, Turkey has a pretty significant edge.
Yeah.
Right, we're not close to equilibrium in the south, and yet we're pretty close to equilibrium in the north, so...
I'm trying to think, because, France is on 7-2, which is equal board top right now, but Holland is kind of out of reach there. It looks like they're going to make progress against England very slowly. Is it good enough that they would be above Russia or not? That's the question here. I feel like it's too
I think
slow.
Russia is more likely to... Actually, Russia's more likely to get attacked by Italy, right? Or, by Turkey.
By Turkey, this is true too.
If Russia makes the stab against Turkey and it works in this winter 06, so it's going to be the spring 07, then Russia's going to be doing better than France. If neither Russia or Turkey attack each other, then Russia will do better than France. If Turkey attacks Russia, then Russia does much worse than France. Because, I think France is going to sit basically at this for a very long time. I don't see France getting really ahead of 7. Because he needs all of his units. He's not going to take a unit from England for a very long time. He might lose Holland, go down to 6. But that extra fleet in the south, who cares? He's not going to get anything from the south, I don't know. I think Russia has way more potential to go up or down. Russia's far more likely to win the game than France, but also far more likely to get eliminated.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in that case I'll put Russia above France then, because I feel like we're doing this as a how likely are you to win the game thing. And even if they have more of a potential to get eliminated, eliminated to second, it's kind of the same on a top board. Technically, there are second and third place on the top board for Nexus, but you're aiming for that first. You don't want to settle for
Yeah, if there's a qualification, right? If these are giving you points to qualify for something else, then second place doesn't matter. But
yeah. But hey, you're always going for that first place. So
to some extent, I don't think Germany's going for first place on
Yep, that's probably true. But in terms of our power rankings, I've put Turkey first, then England, then Russia, then France, then Italy, and then right at the bottom, Germany. I do want... Yeah, no, Italy is definitely above Germany, right? I mean, at this point, it's kind of nitpicking because I don't think either of them are going to win anyway. But Germany, I don't see getting that much larger, whereas if this Russia-Turkey conflict happens, maybe Italy can get back into it.
Maybe, or Turkey wins and then just steamrolls Italy.
That's also a possibility. Shall we go ahead to the spring?
Let's do it.
Alright.
Okay,
Spring
so
1907.
we have a stab.
Yes, we do, and it is by Turkey on the Russian. In fact, Russia didn't even move into the Black Sea voluntarily. They had to retreat there. But yeah, they're kind of no, they're not set up to defend this at all, are they? Russia.
Romania's lost.
Yeah, Romania is lost, and Ukraine and Galicia are empty, and so is Sevastopol, which is just painful.
And if Italy messes with Vienna and Trieste, again, Budapest might even fall.
Yeah. In fact, I could even see, man, like the default logic for Italy would be, I think, stick with Russia because you've just lost Ionian to the Turks, so you want to knock the Turk back. But I kind of feel like in this position as Italy, I might be tempted to ask the Turk for a cheeky support into Trieste.
I mean, I would certainly be tempted to ask for it, but also I would never do it because if Turkey thinks that I'm attacking Trieste, they're probably just going to attack Budapest, right?
Yeah, that's probably true, actually. So you just go ahead and go for it. I don't know what the Italian is doing, though. Western Mediterranean tapping Mid-Atlantic Ocean here. Like, he's trying to defend his homeland with one fleet. And that's just relying on guesswork. It's so dangerous. But yeah, maybe he's relying on getting Trieste and then building a second fleet, and then everything will be fine.
Yeah, because having two fleets defending himself is pretty important.
Yeah, but like, if he can somehow slip into Spain, this will have been genius play, because then he gets his defensive fleet anyway. Although it's still not as good as just holding Ionian would have been. Unless his disband of Tyrrhenian is what caused this Turkish stab. In which case, it's a next level play.
Okay, but cool question. How much of a Turkish stab is this really? Because Smyrna moves up to Constantinople, Greece is now empty, so there's no army that can be convoyed. Oh, Bulgaria. Well, like, can Bulgaria actually be convoyed onto the Italian mainland?
I don't
Can it really?
think it can. It needs to be in. Like, Bulgaria is so much more useful just throwing it at the Russian at this point. At least in my eyes.
I would convoy it into Naples.
Into Naples? Really? Not even into Apulia?
No, because I need the build.
Like, yeah, so when you're convoying units into the Italian peninsula, quite often, like, as a new player, it's probably very tempting to just go straight into Naples. Usually what you see is people convoying into Apulia because that's less likely to be blocked, and it's adjacent to 1, 2, 3 supply centers, so it threatens all of them. And then I guess once you get beyond my level and to Ezio's level of strategy, you go back to the starting point and you go, everyone expects me to go into Apulia, so I will just walk into Naples and happily take your center.
C dot take dot, man.
Yup.
It's just Tyrrhenian Sea is going to be covering Tunis. This Italian player is a lunatic. He's not going to use Western Med to cover Tunis. He's doing something else stupid with Western Med. I don't know what, but he should have moved Western Med back years ago, man. He should have. The problem is, like, me using Bulgaria and Aegean and Ionian on this one stupid ass convoy is terrible because I can't I can only support hold Romania with strength 1. So Trieste can cut Serbia and then he can take Romania back by force if he wants to. Alternatively, I have this annoying guess between Constantinople and Ankara because this fleet the Black Sea. And now by vacating Bulgaria, I've added another thing to the guess. So it's really quite awful. Except that he's never going after Bulgaria in this particular tactical situation. Black Sea is never tapping Bulgaria here because Bulgaria is always just sitting here, holding, supporting Romania perhaps, but never leaving. And
you're also kind of okay with the Russian getting into Ankara if you are doing con to black and you get into black as a result of that, right? Because Russia's already going down one, so it's not like he gets a build.
I would definitely go con to Ank here, because I'm happy with him if he gets into con, because I just build a fleet, I build something in Smyrna, and then fleet in Smyrna, retake con, take a black sea in the fall, right? Him getting into Ankh with this is going to be annoying though, because I have to like build an army Smyrna and then like retake Ankara from Khan and stuff, and like it makes my recapture the Black Sea pretty slow, I think.
Well, no, if you're entering con to black, right, then you get into black as he takes Ankh. You can build an army in con and just knock him out with Black Sea and con.
That's fair. And he's not going to get to build a fleet and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're better. That's better. That's much better. Much better.
I think a lot of that is based around the fact that he's losing Rum, so he's not getting the build. If he did get the build from Ankh, it would be terrible to
and the advantage of Con to Black is that if he's trying to support into Romania and take advantage of my bullshit by leaving Bulgaria vacant and not supporting Romania with it, then he doesn't even take Romania.
Yep.
Okay. Con to Black is much better. Much better to go with the convoy into Naples.
Yep.
All right, in the north, nothing happens, right?
In the north,
Belgium gets into Holland.
Yeah, France shuffles units along. They also moved Marseille down to Lyon, which is kind of interesting. France didn't even try to attack the English here. They didn't try to shuffle the fleets. I think because of that unit in Western Med. It's clear that the Italian is doing something that the French player does not like. And maybe they're going, go away, please, and then I'll continue my attack on England.
Maybe.
It's clearly not working. Because they could have shuffled to Picardy and Brest and then Spain.
Wait. No, I'm so stupid. Nothing works. You have to convoy into Apulia. I'm sorry.
Because
yeah, because Marseille is moving into Turnian. Or go for Lyon. Marseille moved into Lyon, and now it's going into Turnian.
Oh, it's going to counter the Turk. That is very possible, yeah.
I'm sorry. We can't go after Naples.
Well, honestly, there's a good chance that Italy just blocks Apulia as well, to be honest. But the... although
it's
actually,
harder.
what kind of...
block Apulia right as Venice.
I mean, also, yeah, what kind of lunatic convoys Bulgaria out at this point anyway? So, like, I think there's a good chance that Italy just doesn't bother covering Apulia. But yes, the thing that Ezio was talking about here is Turanian moving into Naples, I think Western Mediterranean moving into Tunis, and Lyon moving into Turanian. So you form a complete barrier here if Italy and France are working together. Although I still don't see why you would do that over just keeping Turanian there in the first place. And not losing Ionian.
Mistakes were made, but hilariously, actually, okay, this is funny. Because, well, okay, if you're in a theoretical endgame where you say, hey, France, you need to support my line, so I'm going to weaken myself artificially, create a worse stalemate line that needs an extra unit to clog, you then steal France's extra unit so France can't grow anymore. And then you can reach an endgame where, like, you and your ally are both stuck at the same number of centers, and neither one of you have any units to spare.
Yeah, and Italy was definitely selected after France, right? So they'd win the tiebreak. This is
yeah. It happens to be that Italy's at 4 and France is at 7, so it doesn't quite work here. But you can theoretically come up with a place where that happened.
That would be kind of hilarious. But yes, in the north we see not much of anything happening. Germany protects Kiel, doesn't bother taking Holland. France shuffles along, but doesn't get anywhere against England. So it looks like this is just locked down at this point, and they're just going to sit here.
Assuming that France works together with Italy, which seems pretty goddamn likely here, gotta say.
Yeah. Alright, well, shall we go ahead to the fall?
Yeah.
Alright, fall 1907.
Sad when you're right. So sad.
Well, you were absolutely correct about that French and Italian order set.
But it's so sad because now he doesn't get the conflict. Anyways, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, this game is boring now.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Wait.
so... Turkey didn't do anything interesting here. They actually did a better order set than my order set would have been, though, because Black Sea tried to tap Romania. So getting 2 fleets into Ankara and Kon actually makes more sense. Although they get a build anyway, so I guess they put Army Smyrna down and go into Armenia.
Yeah, and now they lose Ionian. They can't support hold it.
Yeah. Was it worth losing Ionian for this? Maybe the convoy to Apulia would actually have been the correct thing here, because there was 0 threat applied, as it turns out. And Italy was still going after Russia. So, yeah.
But the big move, Mid-Atlantic Ocean made it into North Atlantic Ocean.
Yes, this is huge over here. This, like, it was a complete, like, that was a pretty unlikely guess to win, I feel like. It was, there's a lot of guesswork over here over which province you could get into, and France just happened to guess the right one, and that's absolutely enormous, although not quite as enormous as it would have been if Burgundy had been in Gascony right now. Because if Burgundy was in Gascony right now, this is immediately followed up with a convoy to Clyde, and then England just falls apart. As is, England has a phase to get into some kind of defensive position before France can get a convoy over. And that one phase could make the difference. I guess we'll see. And meanwhile, we see Russia, like, retreating with everything that they can. Although not actually covering Ukraine or Galicia. They felt that it was more important to hold Trieste, and that turned out to be necessary.
Yep.
I'm interested in this covering Livonia and Moscow as opposed to trying to move into a position where you can get into Ukraine and Galicia more easily. Clearly,
yeah, Prussia to Livonia is really a little odd to me. If England had 2 armies in the north, right? If Finland was an army, I think this makes a lot of sense, because you really don't want to lose Livonia. It's quite annoying. But with the only fleets, you're not really worried about Moscow getting taken. So Prussia to Warsaw to Galicia to get to the south quickly seems very nice instead of Livonia.
I think the worry might have been Denmark getting convoyed to Livonia here. And then
I guess.
you're in
I don't think
horrible
England has the
spot.
luxury of that, no, unfortunately.
But yeah, England is spread very thin, and especially now that France is in North Atlantic Ocean, it feels like this is just an unnecessary deviation over here. So,
The convoy to Livonia is almost similar to his guarding, though. Because that is annoying, right, if that move gets input. But I don't know, I want to get a unit to the south. I want to retake Romania sooner rather than later, but Livonia falling is annoying. Whatever. The north is in chaos. Let's see the builds, eh?
Yep, let's go ahead and see builds winter 1907. And we have Fleet Black Sea coming off, which I guess makes sense. It was going to get blown up anyway. And Army Smyrna, as predicted. Nothing else, no other change.
Russia's in awkward shape.
Yeah, I don't see how Russia gets... Well, Russia could get back into this... No, I don't see how Russia gets back into this. They're kind of squeezed, right? Turkey's just too strong right now. They certainly need to get Italy to ease off them.
They also need to keep Turkey out of the Black Sea, which is impossible.
Yeah, they can't do that. And they need to get back and cover Ukraine and Galicia, and that's just... While not losing Budapest or Sevastopol, it's just... it feels like one of those positions as Russia where you just are... It looks like you're on the same power level as other players from a supply center point of view, because you've got 6, but you're just crushed between 2 fronts where you can't make any progress, and you are probably going to lose stuff over time.
And I mean, this year, man, St. Petersburg being lost is just so unbelievably important to this.
Yep.
Because Russia could just as easily have an extra unit in St. Petersburg right now. That could just be a Russian unit And then England has an extra unit in the north, and Russia is free to use Livonia to do other things. Like, just that swing is just still has huge ramifications on the rest of this game. Like, I don't know.
Absolutely. Well, shall we go ahead to spring?
Yeah.
Alright, spring 1908.
What? Turkey. He didn't take Black Sea in Armenia.
Turkey retreated. What? Why? I get Con to Aegean, that makes sense, because you didn't need two units anyway.
But Ankh to Black, Smee to Arm.
Why would you not further your attack on Russia here? Are you saying I'm too obviously the leader? I need to get back? That doesn't make any sense. You need to make as much progress as you can while you can, because I feel like everyone's going to attack you anyway around you now. Trying to get Russia back on side at this point? Doesn't feel like it's gonna work. And it doesn't feel worthwhile even if it does work, because you're giving up your only route of expansion. I don't see how you get anything from Italy here.
Yeah, I mean, your best bet was going to be trying to take Budapest or something from Russia, but...
Or Sevastopol. I think Sevastopol was the most likely one to work, right?
Yeah, I mean, when Russia makes these moves, you're not going to get it. But with many other moves that you do, and even still, if England taps Moscow for you, you still would get it. So, yeah, look. Everything's awkward, but...
I think maybe Turkey is banking on 7 being enough, because they did select, I think it was, like, 3rd to last. And they certainly selected after England and France.
Yeah, but 7's not going to be enough.
Yeah, especially since France just walked into Liverpool.
7 is never enough to win these types of games. That just doesn't happen.
I mean, you say that the winning power in Nexus Season 4 had 7. I remember that because I was in 3rd place and I also had 7. That was a very tight run game. But yes, 7 is not usually enough to win these.
You can't set your hat on 7, right? If you end up at 7, you're like, whatever, and then, hey, look, randomly you get there. But your game plan isn't, I'm going to have 7 centers, and I'm going to top the board with 7.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. You cannot bank on 7 being enough. Just relies too much on things on the other side of the board going exactly the way you want while you have no influence there, especially as Turkey. Like, Turkey, you cannot... You've just got your words, and let's be honest, at this stage your words are not going to be enough to like, hey France, could you please not take Liverpool so that you stay at 7 supply centres? That's, yeah. That's not going to work. Obviously France is going to lose Liverpool again here, so maybe it will turn out okay. But also, I feel like Turkey can't hold Romania now, right?
Without the fleet in the Black Sea? With an army in Albania? Yeah, it seems like Romania is not long for this world.
Yeah, in fact, all of the Turkish centres in the Balkans are under threat now due to that army in Albania. Unless they get the Russian back on side and say, you know, Italy's attacked you here and screwed you over, maybe you'll help me instead. But I think Russia's still in with a very slight chance, and that can't... They're not going to give up.
Russia's chance to win this game comes from taking everything in the Balkans.
Yeah.
Right, taking Romania, taking Serbia, taking Bulgaria, and then Italy making a mistake, and Village Idiot taking Trieste.
Yep. Well, yeah. And if we look in the north, Germany not giving up either. They're still like, I'm gonna see if I can take a pot shot at Denmark, which is fun. But apart from that,
if 7 is literally the winning score, Germany can get to 7.
Yeah,
right? That can happen. Nobody's attacking him. Warsaw might be open to walk in. Like, would I say it's likely? No, but it can absolutely happen.
it's worth a shot. Not giving up. I definitely respect that. And you see, of course, this move right here is actually quite important. The Burgundy to Gascony. As we said last phase, it was setting up that convoy. If North Atlantic Ocean had gotten bounced out here, it would then be in the position to convoy into Clyde. But as it turns out, it's not going to happen. That unit should probably just stay sat in Gascony, except that there's a chance that Germany then just causes chaos by wandering into Burgundy.
Yeah, at least it can't be convoyed away forever, so Gascony's going to be there to defend. Unlike when you convoy Gascony to Clyde and then Germany walks into Burgundy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, should we move on to the fall?
Let's do it.
Alright. Fall 1908. And yeah, Turkey has completely lost control of the Balkans. They lose Serbia, they lose Romania here. Italy is helping the Russian. Who they just knocked out of Trieste to retake Serbia, which is actually probably the right call, because there is no way Italy is going to win if Turkey is strong, and there is no way for Italy to take out Turkey by themselves. But yeah, suddenly +1 for Russia, +1 for Italy, -2 for the Turk. Looking a lot worse.
Yeah, I mean, if he just, moved into Black Sea and Armenia, none of this happens. None of this, maybe, but, he could have actually defended himself, because then Khan would have gone to Aegean, still, so Aegean would have covered Greece, Adriatic Sea cuts Trieste, and he loses nothing.
Yep. It was just... I've got to think he was trying to rely on negotiation here to keep what he had, but,
There's 2 years left in the game, guys!
Yep.
Negotiations don't mean shit anymore.
Anyone who's in with a shot of winning at this, on a Nexus top board, usually goes for that shot of winning. That's something to learn. You can get away with sometimes making someone like you if they've got no shot, and then relying on them, trying to help you win. But if they've still got a chance at winning, never trust them to just let you go. Let you go for the win yourself. You need to try and set yourself up in a position where that's not going to, where they don't have a chance.
Fine. Turkey's back down to 5. In the north, looks like England...
England stays even, right, at 7, and so does France, because they knock France out of Liverpool. They also block the move into Mid-Atlantic Ocean, which is quite important for blocking a potential convoy. But
yeah, they keep that separated. The army of the fleet in Wales is annoying.
Yes.
Thankfully, yeah. So Eddie can move into Yorkshire in the spring, which is very useful, because then in the fall, your fleet in the North Sea can almost certainly take London with the fleet in Yorkshire, and as long as you just hold in Liverpool, you're going to be okay.
The problem is you could lose Liverpool in the spring because of a potential attack from Wales and North Atlantic Ocean.
Yes. So I believe you need to use English Channel to move into the Irish Sea to cover that possibility. No, but that doesn't even get you there.
Yeah, you could still lose it.
I guess close though. No, I would. I believe it does. Position. If English Channel goes to Irish Sea, while Eddie to Yorkshire and Liverpool holds...
Oh, yeah, then you can retake Liverpool in the fall if you do lose it, because Yorkshire is... Yeah, Yorkshire is such a strong province to have an army in.
Yep.
But, yeah.
You can protect either one. But England is tied down, right? And England's not going to get a German home center.
Yeah, England seems to be break-even on 7 or less at this point. They're not going to go up anymore. Unless they start working with Germany on the lowlands in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah. They could have potentially taken Belgium this turn too, because they had North Sea and English Channel, but I think blocking Mid-Atlantic Ocean was actually quite important here.
I think you would have rather gotten the builds from Belgium, though.
Yeah, but you probably can't like, you can't put your trust in the fact that Germany's going to tap Holland right now.
Yep. Considering how all of your other negotiations have gone on that front.
Yeah. Right. Shall we move ahead to the builds?
Let's see it.
Alright. Winter 1908. We see Turkey's Fleet Adriatic come off the board. That makes total sense. It was either going to be that or Galicia, and I feel like you want Galicia just in case you can snipe a unit, snipe a center, even. Italy building Fleet Naples. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, it's it's 2 armies, 2 fleets, right? Which is what we recommended from a while ago. But, no, they've got 3 fleets. They've got 3 fleets now.
Yep.
So this is too many fleets, in my opinion. But they're clearly trying to keep Russia on side, so maybe they're just going, okay, I need to try and push into Turkey. Or maybe they're just saying, I can't win anymore? Which would be a bit premature for that, even
it definitely seems premature for the I can't win. If they have an army in Naples, like, we're at the point in the game now with so few moves left in the game, right? Any unit you build now is going to move 4 times before the game over. This game is over, right? 09, 010?
Yep.
Right? So, if you build an army, you can convoy that into Albania, and then you have, right, Albania is a nice place to have an army involving Serbia. Whereas by building this fleet, yeah, you can move, I guess, your fleet into Eastern Mediterranean. Maybe, actually. Maybe that's better. Because now you still can move Apulia into Adriatic Sea, but now you threaten Ionian to Eastern Med or Aegean, and so Turkey has to make a pretty punishing guess. And maybe that's a better route.
Yeah, that's actually true. But yeah, they might be able to snipe some stuff. I feel like Italy probably maxes out at 6 here, though. I don't see how they get a 7th. Maybe if they wander...
from here, if they walk into Albania with their fleet from Ionian, while Naples backfills Ionian, then they get... no. Okay, if Turkey misguesses, if Turkey moves Aegean to Eastern Med, then they end up taking Greece, and they would take it from Albania. Then they backfill Albania and Trieste, and then potentially, but they're more likely to lose. Yeah, no. Italy's not getting a buff.
I feel like they could potentially grab Greece and then maybe sneak into Marseille when France isn't looking. If they do it on the turn that France convoys Gascony out to Clyde, they move into Piedmont. That's their shot.
Yeah, but I don't think you're convoying to Clyde anymore.
Yeah, it feels too difficult to pull off here. But hey, they still might pull it off. It's a very close race right here to the end.
Everything is getting tight, but it definitely feels like it's down to Russia or France.
Yeah, yeah, if France actually has the tiebreak over England, I think so. That's it's potentially... Well, we are on power ranking phase, so shall we do this here?
I mean, the ones that are in the running are England, France, Russia, Italy, and Turkey.
Yeah.
Everyone except for Germany, so Germany's last.
I feel like Italy is then second last and Turkey is third last.
I mean, maybe, but they're both... Yeah, sure, I'll go with you, I don't care.
Yeah, Italy maybe has more of a shot than Turkey, but I feel like that unit in Galicia is actually super important. If Italy turns around and attacks Russia, there's a good chance that Turkey could get enough centers out of that to win. Well, not a good chance. An okay chance. But yeah, ultimately, those two order I don't think matters that much because they're both about the same on the very low end of chance of winning here. I think then it's Russia, right? Is that...
Yep.
Yeah. And then England and then France purely
Actually,
based on
I would put Russia above England.
Because Russia has the tiebreak over them? I guess.
Because Russia is more likely to grow.
Yeah.
I see Russia currently can take Trieste, right? In the spring, he can choose to take Trieste if he wants to. I don't think he should, because then I think Italy and Turkey work together for like 2 phases, and then one of the 2 of them ends up pulling it out. But I believe like in the spring of next year, he might be able to snipe Trieste, maybe get Bulgaria, and then just eke it out at 9. I don't see how England could get to 8 or 9.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I feel like the unit in Galicia is just Russia's biggest concern right now, though.
Yes, but
Do you just
let's say that
ignore
unit in
it?
Galicia gives Turkey an extra center, right? Let's just assume he like lets it take Warsaw or something. Then if you get +2, he's still growing. It's definitely annoying. I hate that unit, but are we losing Romania?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Alright, so we're putting France at the top then? Just because I feel like it's hard for France to take another centre, but also I don't think France has annoyed anyone. I don't think... France is certainly in a better position than England in their fight. And, you
Yeah,
know,
unless Germany decides to go and attack France. That's
if
the only way France like loses anything.
if Germany runs into France in these last 2 turns, that's going to be a fun turn of
Well,
events.
there's 2 years, right?
Yeah, that's true.
The game ends in winter, right? In after winter 1910, correct?
Yes. So,
So we have spring and fall of '09, and then we have spring and fall of '10.
yes.
And like real talk, if Germany gets into Burgundy, Ruhr, and Kiel, he's gonna take Holland in the fall. He's gonna take Belgium in the spring, which puts him up to 5. And then if he gets to walk into Marseille and Paris, which seems a little impossible, but if he gets 2 builds, he could then walk into Prussia and Silesia and take Warsaw +1 of Marseille or Paris. Like, if Germany is going to win, he needs to take the Lowlands and Warsaw and one of France's home.
Yeah, so if Germany goes for it, France is certainly lower on the power rankings than we put
Yeah,
it. But
and
I
then
think,
England probably actually just snags something from Germany and England wins.
yeah. So do we want to have that affect our rankings at all or not?
Yeah, I'm gonna put Russia on first and just make it call it a day. That's what I would do.
Russia above France above England then? Or,
Sure.
yeah, I'm not sure about that. I feel like Galicia is just an absolute pain because
Delicious annoying as shit.
you can have
Delicious is annoying as shit,
there's a
yes.
good chance you lose Serbia here, and then you have Galicia just helping punch holes in your line.
Yep. No, Galicia sucks, man. Galicia really does suck.
But I will leave them in your order. The here.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's really tough. I mean, the end game should not have been this close. England just massively threw earlier in the game. But, like, even though he threw, as long as he still has this minimum of 7.
Yep. I mean the one build. It did that waved build could have changed the game.
Yeah,
But yeah.
not as much as the misorder, though. The misorder still...
So I've got our tenuous power rankings. Really, it's 3 groups, right? We've got Russia, France, and England in the top group, and then Turkey and Italy in the second group, and then Germany down in the third group. But the actual order that we've got is Ewok in first as Russia, France in second, that's Philip, Riaz in third as England, Tangian as Turkey in fourth, Max Vax as Italy in fifth, and then Dave Roberts as Germany, still holding on at the bottom and still with a shot, but it's a long shot.
Let's see the spring, eh?
Yeah, let's move into spring 1909. Oh, yes, Germany. Yes. He's going for it. And he gets into Burgundy. And suddenly this move from Gascony to Albania is the second weird move that costs someone a lot in this game. Man. This is really coming down to the wire.
I don't know how much that really does, because I think France was planning on holding in Gascony and then convoying up to England anyways.
Yeah, but surely
So
you bounced Belgium and Burgundy, no? Sorry, Belgium and Gascony and Burgundy. I guess if
that
you...
seems reasonable. You lose the support hole in Holland, but if
In,
England and Germany are coordinating, then France is messed up anyways. So it's probably was better to self bounce in Burgundy, but yikes.
yeah, this is painful, I think.
Russia
Suddenly...
lost to nothing, right?
Um, yeah, Russia managed to hold on to Romania with some fun moves here. An interesting part of this was Italy just moving the fleet into Albania and the other fleet into Adriatic. This is a moveset that feels like it would have been a lot better if Naples had been an army and you convoy it over instead.
Yep.
Like, just a lot better if you were planning to do this. But I guess they were
Yep.
maybe trying to bait Aegean into Eastern Mediterranean with the build. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Uh, the fleet in Albania, it's just not. I mean, it can take Greece, and I
Yep.
feel like it might be able to take Greece certainly by the end of 1910. So then they've got to count on making that run for Marseille for their 7. Man. Yeah, Russia holds on to everything, but I don't see Russia getting anything else. Like, especially with the fleet in Adriatic now. Where?
Yeah, Trieste is now defended, and you can kick out Galicia, but then you're not
Yeah.
taking Bulgaria. Yeah, it's going to come down to who wants to throw, I guess. But maybe not, because this is actually nice, because there are enough countries, right? Like, Turkey is still in the lower echelon, so Turkey's not going to throw to Russia, because Turkey can be like, yo, Russia, if you give me your centers, I win.
Yeah,
So no one's going to throw, I think, here.
this is actually, like, really great. I think there is a genuine chance this could end up as 7-7. Well, 7-7, like 6-6, and then a bunch. I really want to see Germany somehow win this now. uh,
I
but
mean, if
yeah,
you're rooting for that, so
that's impossible. I think because Germany is too far up on the orders. I think Germany got chosen third after France and England here. So
Germany used to get 5 centers. We used to get 2 here, 3 next year. Yeah, all right, whatever.
yeah,
It's not
that's not going
happening.
to
Sorry,
happen. But
Germany.
hey, still making a run for the highest placement that he can get. Is there anything? Well, let's have a look at what happened in England here. Bounce out of London from the fleet in Wales. The English player did not take your advice and move down to Yorkshire. They decided to support hold Liverpool instead. And it works out for them. I mean, would it have always worked out for them?
If they can safely use Norway to convoy back to London, this will work. This was leaving a potential exposure to Warsaw to Livonia and losing St. Pete. I
Yes.
didn't feel the luxury of convoying out of Norway, but he had it, and Village Idiot did not move back up north, so seems safe.
Yeah, overall, this is just ripped to France's chances. There's no possibility here that France wins anymore, I think.
As soon as Germany made these moves and France loses the lowlands, yes, France is dead.
Yep. Alright.
Well, France's chances of winning are dead.
Shall we go ahead to the fall?
Sure.
Alright. Fall 1909.
Well, we see the guesses work for Germany.
Germany manages to sneak into Marseille. Germany manages to get into Holland.
Gets 2 builds.
2 builds. 2 beautiful builds right now. And actually, they should probably both be armies, right? Because there's only 1 year left. And fleet...
Nothing to do with the fleets. Hopefully Silesia gets out of there.
Yeah.
So,
I love this. Like, well played, Germany.
Greece. That's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was with Russian support here. And Italy sets up to attack Russia in Austria as well with the move to Tyrolia. Ooh, boy. This is getting really close. Oh, man. So we also see France manoeuvring around England up in the top, just trying to chip away at that defence. But France going -2, you think he has to take those fleets off now, right? There's no.
No,
Do you think he just keeps the fleets on and then just uses
I
them
think he
to?
blows up his armies on the lowlands. I think he keeps his army in Paris, and that's it.
Really?
If you're trying to win, you
Oh,
have to get lucky, right?
because actually Germany just walks into Spain here. There's nothing to oppose him, and then
You're
how?
not going to stop that.
Yeah, you can't stop that. So maybe you do just
Actually, what
abandon
you can
everything.
do, you use Mid-Atlantic Ocean to Portugal while Paris goes into Gascony, and then you kick him out of Spain. He can't retreat to Portugal, so he just goes back to Marseille.
You've got nothing in Mid-Atlantic Ocean. It moved to North Atlantic Ocean.
Then nothing goes into Portugal. Never mind. Yeah, so he just gets another build with that. He has +1 here,
Yep.
going
So
into Spain to Marseille.
I suspect you might be right that France might just blow up their armies and keep on pushing at the English front. Man, that's just like moving Mid-Atlantic Ocean to North Atlantic Ocean while you weren't covering Marseille feels like such a bold choice and too risky.
I think covering Marseille was the correct guess in this
Yeah.
guess.
Because if you are moving out of Mid-Atlantic Ocean, at least you've still got the fleet in English Channel if Germany goes into Paris, so they're not going to take Brest off you. Whereas now you've lost Marseille and Spain. Yeah, that's not good. But yeah, this is just incredible to watch, to be honest. I'm Man, so England is not gaining anything, right? Well, shall we go ahead to the builds and just get on that
Yep.
screen? Okay. So winter 1909, we've got two French fleets come out, so they're not disbanding all their armies. And we see the two German armies go down, and we see Army Venice from Italy, which I feel like might be a mistake. Army
What else was he
Naples?
going to do? Was he going to have a fleet?
My
Army Venice is the
feeling,
only army that goes places.
I thought Army Naples was the right move because then you convoy it over to Albania with a unit that isn't defending Trieste. But then I guess you're signaling to Turkey, hey, you can take Greece, which is not good. So there's no real right
I
answer
think he's
here.
still probably going to get into Albania. But maybe he's moving into Piedmont, hoping for some hope. Maybe he's moving it into... No, because Tyrolia and Adriatic needed... I don't know. Nothing really matters. Italy's not getting anything down there.
Yeah. Oh, actually, the Army Venice, what it is important for is maybe walking into Marseille.
No,
Which is a possibility, especially if you go to France and say, hey, you've been fighting England all game, you're clearly not friends with England, you've also just been stabbed by Germany, maybe you'll come down to Gascony and support me into Marseille. And then you just hold Greece and Trieste.
that's a pretty good bet for 7, honestly.
And actually, I think that, yeah, so Italy is the highest, so the best, has the best tiebreak of anyone left on the board except for Turkey, I think.
Really? Nobody wanted to play Italy? Wow.
Nope. I think, I may be mistaken on that, I don't have it up with me, but I'm pretty sure that Italy is higher than everyone else on the tiebreak. So if you can make that pitch, that might be the right way to go. It's still tough, because it requires convincing...
you're literally not going to get a build anywhere else, so I think Army Venice was definitely better than the other builds.
Probably the right call. Should we do an update to power rankings this year? No? Okay, well, I do think this is going to be a situation where it might just be whoever has the highest tiebreak and is on 7 wins. Because I don't see how someone gets over that without a throw. Maybe Russia?
I think England looks like a pretty big favorite after these disbands because of Holland.
Oh, yeah, there is a chance that England can go North Sea into Heligoland here and then London into North Sea, right? And then just try and take something off of Germany. That's, So, England would probably be the favourite right now, then maybe Russia. But yeah, we're not updating power rankings right now, so shall we just go ahead and go into spring?
Let's see it.
Alright. Spring 1910, final year of the game, and yeah, we do see those moves into Heligoland and North Sea. And France actually disbands the unit in Holland, force disbands it. And we do see the exact moves from Italy we predicted, moving into Piedmont. And France has moved into Burgundy, so there is a possibility of supporting Italy into Marseille. Oh boy, this is intense. This could be anyone. And Silesia gets into Munich. What? Okay. So, if Turkey can somewhere pick up one more build, they would also be on the 7. But I don't see where they would manage it.
Turkey? Oh, yeah. Because of Munich.
Yeah, because of Munich. Although they probably get kicked out. Oh, sorry, they are. Never mind. They're out of contention. In my excitement, I'm becoming bad at maths. So Russia just holds everything here, maybe just counting on England not getting the extra centre? And counting on Italy not getting the extra centre? It's still down to the wire. There's so much depends on who is going to try and hold Holland here, who is going to try and hold Kiel. You know, can England take either of those? And then, is France going to support Piedmont to Marseille? Or is Germany even going to contest Marseille? Those are the big questions. Do you want to make any predictions, Ezio? Who do you think will win?
We need the final tiebreaker order here. I don't know the exact tiebreaker order. We had it earlier on in the...
Okay, so I think the tiebreak off the top of my head is Turkey is the best tiebreak, then Italy, then Russia, then Germany, then France, then England. So yeah, that's
I think Russia's gonna win then.
All right. Well, let's go into the fall and see what happens. Okay. Let me do some mental arithmetic. Okay, so England chose...
No centers changed hands, right?
Well, Munich changed hands, and that's it.
Sorry, between the spring and the fall.
Yeah.
So France is on 6, Turkey's on 5.
Yeah, actually, France and Germany swapped centers in Holland and Spain. But yeah.
Oh, my bad, not Spain. Yes.
It looks like Belgium was support holding Holland and Berlin was support holding Kiel, so there was no way for England to gain that extra dot they needed here. And France chose not to support Piedmont to Marseille. They could have made Italy win here by doing that, and they did not. Germany could also have made Italy win here by not covering Marseille, but they did not either. So, yeah, if we move forward into the winter here just to see the change in supply centers, that is your final board, and the final supply center count is Germany on 4, Turkey on 5, France on 5, Italy on 6, and then England and Russia on 7. And Russia has the tiebreak of those two, so Russia does win. Ezio, your prediction was correct.
What a joke.
It was insane. It's just like, this is a race to the finish. And, like, this is even with the missed order on St. Petersburg earlier, the game-changing thing. Russia still managed to pull it out by the end of the game. It just goes to show, though, what can happen when everyone is seriously invested, because this outcome only happened because Germany made that late rush. And, you know, there were 3 people in with a shot at winning it at the very end, so very exciting game. And congratulations to all the players, but especially congratulations to Ewok, who ends up at the top of the table. Well played. In fact, I might just very quickly rearrange these power rankings to show the final standings. There we go. So yeah, Ewok first, Riaz second, MaxVex third, Tanjian in fourth, Philip in fifth, Dave in sixth, and of course, poor eliminated Austria from earlier, Pesdamer in seventh. So, yes, this has been the first Diplostrats commentary in a while, the Nexus Season 6 Grand Final. Thank you so much for joining us again, and hopefully we'll see you again soon for more commentaries.